The Tops Off World Tour is back starting September 14th in Raleigh, North Carolina. Then we're on to Charlotte, Atlanta, Greenville, Evansville the very next week, Kansas City, Missouri, Wichita, Kansas, Dallas, Texas, Houston, Texas, Fresno, California, San Jose, Anaheim at the Honda Center, San Diego, and then obviously Red Rocks, October 4th. That Thursday, we're in Vail, Hollywood, Florida at the Hard Rock Live, October 12th and October 13th, Jacksonville, Mobile, Alabama, Abbotsford, British Columbia, Seattle, Washington at the Climate Pledge Arena, Portland, Oregon, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Cincinnati, Ohio, Nashville at the Bridgestone Arena, Little Rock, Arkansas, Springfield, Missouri, Philadelphia, Norfolk, Virginia, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, Fairfax, Virginia, Roanoke, Virginia, Rochester, New York, Worcester, Mass, Newark, New Jersey, Providence, Rhode Island. Closing out the Tops Off World Tour Sunday, December 10th in Albany at the MVP Arena. I will see you on the road. Go to BertCast.com for tickets.
First of all, I have 4 ex-wives. Roseanne's not my worst. But there's nothing that I could ever she could ever say that would offend me, because right when we broke up, she hosted Saturday Night Live, the first episode. So I had friends over. I go, let's watch Rosie, my old friend. I'm sure we're past the divorce stuff. And the first joke she did was something about Tom Arnold's 3-inch penis. And I remember watching that, like, first of all, it's confidential.
Wait, how many kids do you have? Just 2?
I have the 2 kids. I'm 64 and a half. Well,
you look great, by the way.
Well, I feel good.
You look great. Good. I heard you had a stroke.
I did. A mini stroke.
But you look great.
Thank you. I had to lose a lot of weight, which I should have done before, probably.
Wait, how much do you weigh right now?
I weigh about 215, probably. But I was up 280 something, 285. Really? I've been over 300 before. I've lost 100 pounds 3 times, and I know doctors say that's good for you, but I'll tell you, it's not good for your skin. I enjoy when you have your shirt off. And the kids are like, would you do that? I go, no. First of all, I've had too many surgeries. I don't even have a belly button. Like, it's over. Like,
what do you mean? How many surgeries have you had?
I've had a few. I had a couple where they had to just split me open really quick.
Like heart surgeries?
No. Knock on wood. I haven't had heart.
You had organ failure.
I had organ failure. I have heart failure. That's a thing. I have, heart disease. I have cardiomyopathy. And I assume one day I'll have to do something. But no, I went septic once. And which is one of my small intestine burst. And I didn't know. I was like, and then with the heart failure, I called my own ambulance. I'm like, something's up. And I was like, I'll drive myself to UCLA. And then I was like, maybe I should call the ambulance. And fortunately, they came. And
what's heart failure feel like?
Well, it was, your heart just stops pumping, had a 5%. But for my situation, I couldn't breathe. And I was like, and I couldn't even breathe. By the time the ambulance guys got there, I couldn't even tell them what was wrong.
Really?
Like, I couldn't communicate. But then everything shut down. My kidneys, my everything. I was on ECMO, which is the heart-lung machine, when I sort of came to. Like, what? No.
Do you ever wonder how old you're going to live to?
Well, you do think of that. Well, I think of that
all the time.
Yeah, but you think of that in, like, okay, Quinn, when she gets out of college, I'll be 80. Like, they just start looking for 80-year-old guys that still got it going on. Arnold's, I guess, 76 this month.
He's in great shape.
Yeah, he's in great shape.
But he's had a heart attack.
He's had heart valve replaced twice, like emergency situations.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he's had a heart attack. I haven't had a heart attack, which is shocking. But, yeah, he's had, he put his body through some hell.
But wait, when did you stop putting your body through hell? And just when I'm talking like drugs and alcohol.
Oh, yeah, drugs and alcohol. Well, I have a kind of an interesting story. I haven't drank since December 10th, 1989, and I was 19 years sober, and I wrecked my motorcycle on PCH and broke my back. And up to that point, I'd tell guys I sponsored, I'm not an opioid guy, not a heroin. That's not my thing, man. I'm cocaine, booze. And the ambulance came, and the guy gets out and said, are you in pain? And I said, yes. And he said, not anymore. Gave me a shot of fentanyl. And I was like... oh shit! That's what I've needed. No, that's what I need to make life okay. And so I stayed on it. The pain, you have to have a certain amount of pain medication normally. But I realized at my 20th anniversary of sobriety, I was about to get a cake, and I thought, I'm still on the pain medication from 18 months ago. I am not sober. I am going to eat this cake, but then I'm going to start over tomorrow.
Cake and fentanyl. That sounds like an orgy.
But then I'm going to start over tomorrow. And then 7 years ago, I went to do this reality show in South Africa. I was hurting for money, and it's where it only airs in Australia, I was told. And you parachute in the middle of the night into the world's biggest game reserve with nothing. That's what I signed up for, because nothing. You have to survive, which is crazy. But I remember before I went, I got to get some Xanax.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, okay,
so
okay.
I'm my own doctor. I need to get 10 milligrams Xanax. And then
10 milligrams is a lot of Xanax.
But, you're African. You don't know. But then I had an issue with benzos, which is what they're called, which was super weird.
Benzos are hard to get off of.
They're the hardest.
I had a buddy. We tried to get him to go to rehab. His family more. It wasn't me. I'm not the guy they go to for rehab calls. But I was definitely the guy he called when they said they wouldn't let him in rehab because of benzos.
Oh, wow.
And it was Xanax. And he was like, I'm sober. Like, I'm just taking Xanax because I have panic attacks. But he was taking a lot of Xanax.
Yeah, that's the thing. And it's a weird double thing you got going, where you sort of run this loop of this movie, and then there's the other reality. And what I was like, I don't know. I just need to detox off Xanax. That's why I need to go to this rehab. And I was there about a week. I wasn't really buying in. And Chris Cornell, who was a singer.
Interesting, because you are. I've always thought of you as the sober guy. I really,
no.
I don't know if you know this, but we met a long time ago at LAX. At Baggage Claim.
Yes,
it was when I was just a young comic.
Yeah,
and I saw you and I went up and I introduced myself, and you're really kind, and I think I've run into you a couple times since.
Yes,
but you were the guy that I always thought, if and when I got out of control, I was like, that's who I'll call.
Yeah,
I think
it still stands. It still stands.
But it's interesting to hear your personal struggles.
Yeah,
because you think guys like you are just like you're perfect.
Yeah,
like you don't struggle at all.
Yeah,
and it's nice.
It is a struggle, and it never stops. It's always this disease that wants to kill me. It's always there. And thinking for a second, I got this thing licked was really my issue with those two things. My sponsor got arrested 41 years ago, once when he was 18. And he's never done drugs or drank since. I'm like, how does that happen? How many times have I been arrested? How many times but you get to a point where also I think the world has changed, and you think about mental health too. That's something that you got to get the complete, package. And we are our own doctors. Some people take Xanax righteously, their doctor, but you have to be aware that's an insidious thing too. And no judgment on what people do, but beware, because that's a tough. Anyway,
my Xanax was my come down off of a bender.
Yeah.
Like when I ran this by my doctor one time, and I was like, when I say I'm on the road for 2 weeks straight and we're partying and having fun, no coke or drugs, maybe weed, a lot of weed and edibles and booze. But on that Monday when I landed, I'd take a Xanax at 4 p.m. So that I didn't, because I knew that if I took it, I wouldn't drink, and I'd sleep well, and I'd wake up going, I feel great. I shouldn't drink this week. And so then that was and I'd take I'd take 0.25 milligrams.
Yeah. I mean, you're a normie, what we call, my thing, when I was drinking, I'd be like, I'm going to be hungover. I have to drink more in the morning. More back in the day, Long Island iced teas where I drank. Then 7 shots, and there's just no getting around. The only cure for me was more booze.
Really,
but if you drink, I've seen a lot of hardcore alcoholics now that are not drug guys, that are just straight up people died from just alcohol, which is I've
never seen that either. I had a buddy I went to college with die from. I have two buddies. I have two buddies who died from alcoholism. And there was I knew another dude that over the pandemic that died from alcoholism. Like, it's just crazy, because there's a part of me that if I do drink, I don't get hungover. But I don't know if that's based on how much I drink or not. But I do drink a lot, but I don't get hungover, and I work out in the morning. I polar plunge, I sauna.
Yeah,
I do like my gratitudes. Like I'm a pretty present individual. I know that it's just not good for me. The amount of sugar going into my body is not good for my liver.
Alcohol turns to sugar. That's why I love it. Yeah. I think that's was my first addiction when I was 12. When I first started drinking beer, I'm like, there's something about this that I love everything about. I love being fucked up, obviously.
Were you in Iowa?
Yeah, Atomo, Iowa, southeast Iowa.
What year is this? Like 12 years old.
Well, I was 12 years old. I would have been like 1972. Like a
Wow. So hold on. So wait. So I'm just the first time you got drunk. Not to
Mhm.
romanticize it,
No,
but
no, but
because I know
I'll
that's
say
something you're not
yeah.
supposed to do in sobriety.
No,
But
but
like
you
I'm
can
always
talk about
curious.
it.
Like I was the Cure, Susie and the Banshees,
Oh, I
the
love the Cure.
Smiths.
So I
That was
love the
that was
Cure,
what we were
yeah.
listening to
Yeah,
the first night we got drunk off
yeah.
off Natty Light in the backyard, and we all had like trench coats on
Oh,
and
yeah.
like shirts buttoned to the top, and we were like, and because we thought that's what the girls were into, and we were into
Yeah,
that.
of course.
But I remember the Smiths being like,
Yeah,
that was the energy of the evening of that whole summer, that
yeah.
whole freshman year of high school, leading into the summer. It was the Smiths, and then Tracy Chapman showed up,
Mhm.
and the Indigo Girl. It was crazy. But what was music was playing when you
Well,
first?
first of all, what we would do, I did a lot of farm work. We baled hay, we detasseled cord, we rogue beads, and which is funny because my kids, I drive them. They like doing farm. They have to drive an hour and a half outside of town here and pay $200 so they can pick vegetables, which is crazy to me. But yeah, ZZ Top. I was when I was maybe 12. The first time I got really drunk was 11 at the football field because one of the dads in the neighborhood gave us all beer, who we said was the cool dad.
Yeah.
And he was just a maniac alcoholic. But we were always like telling my dad, why aren't you,
That's
you're not
amazing.
fun like Frank.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Frank would also spank the kids in the neighborhood, which was weird. He was a great big guy. And, and my dad said, stay the fuck away from Frank. He goes, I don't want him, not just spanking you, but he seems like somebody that would spank the dads too.
Yeah.
But ZZ Top, man, I've always gotten into music. My first album was Frank Zappa, and I got it because my grandparents, I was raised by a single dad. My mom was long.
Your mom was
gone.
an alcoholic?
Yeah. My first alcohol and drugs were from my mom.
Really?
And same with my sister. There's a documentary series about my sister called
Sister
Sweet
was
and
the
Best.
biggest
Yeah.
biggest meth dealer on the West Coast, correct?
Best dealer in America. Like she did it out of Iowa, biggest drug dealer. But so yeah, that was the music. It's funny because my son, who's 10, we play a game where he has rap and hip hop current songs, and I tried to guess. And I listen to TikTok radio with them sometimes. There's filthy stuff on there.
Oh, yeah.
It gives you a good chance to parrot. Go, okay, here's a word you cannot say, But then he does the 70s, the early 70s, and I get one beat, and I know every single, and he's impressed by that. But that's all the last thing I can remember.
I saw something the other day that said Billy Squire. I think it was Billy Squire.
Oh, yeah.
That he is the most sampled artist. I think it's Billy Squire. He's the most sampled artist because he started all his songs with drum beats.
Oh,
so
yeah.
all the rappers stole all his drum beats because that was the first thing they heard. And they were like, I can rap over this.
Yeah, right. Well,
But
he was college for me. That was sort of when I was still to meet Peggy Platt, but which I worked at for 3 years and started community college, and then Billy Squire. Everybody wants some, and
I bet you were fun as fucking college.
Yeah, but also music because I started playing in a band with one of my stepfathers. I had 7. My favorite stepfather when I was 14, and drumming and go around country rock. So Creed's Clearwater Revival was really important.
I just got a DM from Dan Fogerty.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. He
Yeah.
asked me to come out and do a show with him in Red Rocks.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
John Fogerty, I lived.
Or John Fogerty.
Yeah, but John Fogerty's amazing.
Yeah, John Fogerty.
And he holds, he's still the same guy.
It might have been Dan. Who fucking knows?
No,
Whoever's with the string cheese incident, and he like hit me up because I come out on stage to Fortunate Son. And
that's definitely John. That song rocks.
I went under to a CCR song when I had surgery. They got to let me pick my music. and I
Wow,
picked-
that's very cool.
Yeah, and so he was like, "Hey man, I'll put you under any day." And then he was like, "Why don't you come out, hang out, maybe do something with us on stage with String Cheese Incident?" But I'm on tour, I can't make it.
Well, do you do the live version of Fortunate Son that he has, or do you do the strip?
No.
I lived next to him for about 10 years. I lived between him and Brian Wilson, and just a solid guy, and his politics are solid. He's always been John Fogerty's a genius. But to have somebody that important in your life growing up, and then get to know them a little bit, but Brian Wilson, who's wonderful, But one night I came home from work about 4 a.m. I came in hot. I was driving. It was back in the day when I had a Bentley Turbo, when I had money back in the day before I was poor. And he was in his
Trying to
robe.
find out what you think poor is. Keep
Yeah,
going.
well, he was in his robe in the middle of the street, and I just about killed him.
Really?
And I mean, it was like, but I love that guy, and they're such great. But that music, it sticks with you. It's a visceral thing, man. It means something when you hear it.
You know what's cool about your career? Not to like, but when you came on the scene, it was because of Roseanne. Like that's how everyone got to know you. But
literally, he hired me.
Yeah. And then when you did True Lies was like my moment where I'm like, oh, I'm a Tom Arnold guy. I'm a Tom Arnold guy. Like I've always I don't know. Have you seen the shit Roseanne's going through right now?
But people always alert me to it.
Oh, I guess it's pretty hard to.
And I say, there's nothing my ex-wife could ever say. First of all, I have 4 ex-wives. Roseanne's not my worst, but there's nothing that I could ever she could ever say that would offend me.
Yeah. Because
right when we broke up, she hosted Saturday Night Live, the first episode, and at that time, because we started as friends, we met when I was 23. When she still lived in Denver, she wasn't famous, and I knew she was such a great comedian. Though.
Yeah.
I worked with her. Like she was amazing. And then we worked together and stuff. But she hosted Saturday Night Live. So I had friends over. I go, let's watch Rosie, my old friend. I'm sure we're past the divorce stuff. And the first joke she did was something about Tom Arnold's 3-inch penis. And I remember watching that. Like, first of all, it's confidential. But from then on, I did make my best joke ever, which was, even a 747 looks small when it lands in the Grand Canyon. But you can't do that joke first because then you're an asshole. But, so from there, I was like, and, I did her roast, whatever that was.
Yeah.
I had not seen her in person in 18 years, so I did her roast. And like, that was kind of the perfect showbiz thing to do. I was very nervous about it. She really wanted me. She must have needed me to do it. And
well, it does go incomplete. Without you, you are a big part of her story as well,
right?
Like, and I think people may see that the opposite, but I don't think they.
It can be two things at once.
It can be. You are a huge part of her story.
Yeah, and in our world, but the roast, I was so nervous. First of all, she called me the week of the roast. When the roast first got announced, I was on Howard Stern. He said, "Are you going to do it?" I go, I'm not going to do it unless I have 6 weeks to prepare for it. Like, I'm not going to go in last minute and look stupid. And the guys that are good at roasts are very good.
Yeah,
and
I'm not good at roasts.
Yeah, I'm not. But it makes me it makes me. I don't like making fun of people, and then I really don't like people I don't know making fun of me. I want to.
Oh, I don't like. I don't like it. Well, I did a roast, and it was all people I knew, but even still, some of it's so biting.
Yeah.
That you're like, ooh, is that what I sound like?
Yeah.
Is that what my life is? Do I never see my kids?
That's the worst thing. Yeah.
Do I work too hard?
Yeah.
Hey, maybe I am an alcoholic.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, and when I make jokes about people, like I have a friend who makes jokes about me a lot, and I've never had a problem with it. And then I made a joke about him, and he kind of lost it. And it was like, he's like, are you like mad at me? And I was like, no, I thought we were joking.
Yeah,
I'm not good at this.
That's right.
Yeah, but so
it's. I mean, people that are good at it, bless them, they're amazing. But and then of course the week of the show, she tries to call me, and then the producer Joel Gallen's like, "Hey,
I know Joel.
Yeah, I'd say that he called. I said, tell me what she's going to ask me because it could be a short conversation, and then there's no hope for." And he said, well, she'd like you to show up at the roast, dress up like a waiter, serve her a drink, and then leave. I go, she wants me to show up at the roast, not roast her or anybody else, and then just leave. And he goes, yeah, she thinks it'd be great. I go, see, it's a good thing you called me, not her, because that's the worst fucking idea I've ever heard. And she'd be like, fuck you. No, fuck you. Whatever. Next day, they call back. She'd like you to roast the other people on the dais, and then turn to her and kind of give her a fist bump and leave. I go, they don't want me to acknowledge her at all? I go, yeah. He goes, yeah, it's a great idea. I go, that's the worst idea. People would be so pissed.
Yeah.
And then finally, the night before, they're like, whatever you want to do, please come. And they had to, because of our restraining orders against each other. Like it's in there that if she makes fun of my penis, she has to pay me $100,000. If I make fun of her vagina, we basically couldn't be in the same room.
Wait,
so,
hold on.
Yeah, no, that's very detailed.
Are you serious?
Very detailed from our divorce, and
oh my god!
So the lawyers
it's
had
two
to be
comics getting divorced.
Yeah,
who are like, hold on, there's some boundaries we can't cross.
Yeah,
but
they're stupid boundaries. They're the first ones you think of crossing. So. But the lawyer stayed up all night, and then Saturday, it was a Saturday, and I got up in the morning. I was like, I have no jokes. Like, I've done all this stuff. And so Jen Kirkman, I called her up. I said, I got to do this roast, man.
Wow.
And,
that is not the name I thought I'd hear. That is not the name I thought I'd hear.
Yeah. But I like her. And
I love Jen.
Yeah, she's great. And so I said, I got some ideas, but basically what I had was, it'd been 18 years since I saw her. I had 18 things in my head that I probably thought about one a year. Like, wouldn't it be funny if I said? And so it went well. And then I was like, I'm going to get the hell out of here. And that's it. And then the next I heard was her politics, where she's pro-Trump, which she hated Trump when we were together. I do not like Donald Trump. He's a terrible person. And so I was like, well, that's interesting. And then her show is coming. And then very supportive. She hired a lot of writers that we know. And I wrote a review for Hollywood Reporter, very, positive. I don't think any show is as good as it was the first 6 years when I was on it. I mean, that's just how these shows go. And it's hard to reboot stuff.
It's really hard.
People don't remember that show was canceled the first time. And John Goodman wasn't there. He was dead the last year of the show.
Yeah.
So they had to figure out a way to get him. But
yeah, because it was the last year was a little bit like they ran a bowling alley or something. Or
is that what it was?
I don't know, but it was disjointed because it was mostly like her and Lori and like I think Sandra Bernhardt.
Yeah.
And it was just like
but they're great. Lori Metcalf and
our kids went to school together. I've never spoken to her, but she's a cool person.
She's the best actor that you know. I'm just going to tell you, probably, that I know. Sandra Bernhardt was amazing.
Sandra Bernhardt was
there were so many great people. John Goodman's just killing it. I will say this, when I came to L.A. at 88, before she goes, I want you to be the husband. I want you to play the husband. And I'm like, I haven't acted, but she goes, come in with me to meet Carsey Warner, the producers. So go ahead. We try to do something together, and it was just not. And she goes, okay. I said, it's just not. If they get John Goodman, he's so great. And which they did. And then I wanted to write anyway, because I knew her. I'd written for her before, and it was such a great thing. And then the second year, they're like, now that you guys are a couple, the writers are all like, you got to be on the fucking show, Artie. I go, okay, I'll do that. I'll become an actor for that. But that was very nerve-wracking too.
That writer's room, wasn't Norm in there?
Yeah, I hired Norm. What I did was I found guys. Half the writers were old school Hollywood guys that Jay Daniel, the other executive producer, hired. They were solid guys they'd work with. And the other half were people I knew, comics. And you see somebody like Norm, you go, he's funny. He's funny. It's going to be easy to teach him the form.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, Drake Sather,
Drake Sather?
So many, yeah.
He is awesome.
I'm going to clear my throat.
No.
Drake Sather, Joe Madison, a whole bunch of guys from my roommates in Minneapolis before. Yeah. But they really did an amazing job. And, anytime you say, well, hire your buddies. Well, if you hire your buddies because they're great, it just reflects well on you. And so, Roseanne was very supportive about bringing in comics and eventually we had a huge staff. There's some she brutalized people, but when I hear people bitching about her or Sid Caesar or the Jackie Gleason, how big assholes they were to the writers, I think, well, Sid Caesar's writers were Woody Allen, Neil Simon, Carl Reiner, Mel Brooks. Like these guys, after they left him and worked with him, they had pretty great careers. And same thing with the Roseanne show. So it's a funny show business thing to blame the star, although she did do some crazy stuff.
I heard her one time at the back of the Comedy Store telling a story about your divorce or your breakup. And it was, I don't know if she ever told her on stage, but it was done in her voice.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
It's the Roseanne you knew on stage, but
Yeah.
it's her telling the story of you guys driving in a pickup truck, and she was driving, and I don't know what it was, but I was crying laughing. And it's so interesting because I remember adversely thinking, if that was me they were telling the story about, I'd be like, hey, it's not that funny, guys.
No, if it's funny, people can do anything in the world.
Yeah.
They can talk about, people, like the Simpsons, an episode where me and some other celebrities were getting shot to the side, and people are like, "Did that hurt your feelings?" I go, "No, that's my voice. No, I went in and did that
Yeah.
because it's funny." I'm not sure what story Roseanne was telling, but we had a farm in Iowa, which she loved, and we spent a lot of time there. And she had an old pickup, and we had, and then one day it was raining, and I got into town, and she was out by herself in the pickup, and she came busted back into the farm. It's raining, and there's a dog in the back, and she goes, "I found Boo. The neighbors had stole him. They shot at me, but I went up and took him." I go, "Hold on. Boo is dead. That's where we buried Boo. He's got a tombstone. You just stole the neighbor's dog." And in Southeast Iowa, you don't go fucking steal the neighbor's dog in front of them. But that really happened. That's my favorite part of her, was that she genuinely would be wide-eyed and go into these situations. I wasn't. It's now funny that she got shot at, but no. But at the time, I'm like, "Oh my God, honey, no, the dog is dead. Our dog is dead. We have to let me take this dog back to those people."
She's an interesting character. I have to say this only because I'm sure people, I haven't said it out loud, but I've always been a Roseanne fan. I'm still a Roseanne fan. I'm still a Roseanne fan. When she goes on Theo's podcast and says wild shit, there's something about her that I don't know, that like when she says wild shit, I feel like I don't know. It's like when I mean this like this, but it's like when your relative does it and you go, I still love them.
Oh yeah, of course.
Like I don't know if that's because she was ingrained in my childhood. Like she was the stay-at-home mom that worked. And,
it's all real.
I don't know if that is what it is, or that like my best friend, his wife was best friends with her daughter, Christina Pajinski, with one of her daughters.
Oh yeah.
And so I don't know what it is, but like even like the Theo stuff, and I haven't even seen the podcast.
Yeah.
But like I always just go like, it's Roseanne. It's it's like,
well, Theo, who I really like
I
you
love
do.
Theo.
But he had his hands full. Like I think if you're gonna have somebody like her on, you better be ready.
Oh, that's why I can't have people like that.
Because you got to cover her ass for her.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to commit and go, okay, that's not what you meant. This is, and it's a tough spot for a comedian to be in because you just want to hear other comics talk.
I just want to,
But under the circumstances, you kind of go in there and, and she does her videos and people, her son films them. So I don't know if that's elder abuse or what it is, but she does her thing and my feeling is she was the funniest person I ever met. I mean, when I met her when I was 23, she was probably 30, just killed it. We worked together. The owner of the club said, "You guys are going to be, I saw this woman in Denver. You guys are going to hit it off." And we did. And she did something that we know we're good looking as men, but she told me I was funny. And she meant it. I knew she was funny.
Yeah.
So that I'm like, she's got me forever. So the MC funny, said, we said, "Hey, do you have a car?" And she goes, "Yeah, Liz Winstead." She still does.
I know Liz Winstead. She goes,
"Yeah."
The Daily
I go,
Show.
"Can we borrow it?" And then we never came back. Like we just out doing drugs and getting drunk, and that was it. And it was on.
God,
and so,
what an interesting for like hardcore comedy fans. That is. And by the way, wait, I wonder if her and Liz still talk because they're totally politically opposite.
Yeah, well, they are now. Yeah, I think they were on the same thing, but it's hard to. But Roseanne, the thing is that all comedians sort of are super hot. They kind of, you could tell when some people are getting older.
Yeah,
I am older, but I could tell a little bit. They get softer. But she has got herself in a corner because she could only make fun of half of the world. And anytime, if you can't say anything about Trump, you can only say stuff about Joe Biden, you got to be able to say stuff about everybody.
Yeah.
And if I felt like her last special, my assistant made me watch some of it. The Fox Nation one, I felt badly for her because it did seem like she'd worked out her material. And it was like all these things. My pronouns are kiss my ass. guns. I like. I mean, it's so on the head, and she could do better, So that was, and then I also have compassion for her. She's a woman out there, and I've always had more compassion for female comedians because, as we know, I know from the business, a woman goes out there by herself basically, and all this shit could possibly go down. And one of the first things I saw Roseanne do was a guy was being an asshole heckling her in the front row, and he unplugged her mic. And the way she handled it just tore him to. I said, Roseanne's only 5 foot tall, I mean, she got a low center of gravity, let's be honest. But yeah, and I thought she is a badass. I'm going to protect this woman for, that's going to be my thing. Because, that's going to be, we're going to be friends. I'm going to protect her. And I carried that into the show because all of a sudden I had this responsibility of being an executive producer. I'd never done it. The writing, producing. And I remember the first group of producers, other producers, they took, it was her, she created the show, obviously, but they got credit for it.
Really?
Yeah. They got created by credit. And Matt Williams. And because they'd written the script, they didn't say to her, hey, let's write this together or we'll do whatever. It's totally based on her.
It's a shitty thing that used to happen in Hollywood is that you'd go in, you'd sell the show to someone like Carsey Warner, which was the gold standard in television.
Yeah.
Carsey Warner did everything.
It was. They're great.
And I think Tom Warner ended up going to own the Red Sox.
Yeah, he had Red Sox at Liverpool. But those producers were being shitty to her.
Well, they would go in and then you'd pitch show and then you go, hey man, I want to help you out. And they go, well, actually, this is my job.
Yeah.
Why don't you just sit back?
I finally went up there the first thing. I go, listen, guys, it's her show. Not just say this because she's my friend, but she knows what's best.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do what she said. They're like, well, we don't have. I go, I don't know how to. Let me just rephrase that. I'm going to beat the fuck out of you guys. I don't have the finesse right now to know what to say to you fuckers, but that's what's going to happen. And eventually I'll be able to finesse it a little better, but you got to quit fucking with her, and you're stupid for fucking with her, and I'm going to come up here and beat the shit out of you guys. And they're all looking at me like, oh, wow, that's, I remember Josh Whedon was in the writing room. It was his first shot. He was like, holy fuck. And then because he was so young afterwards, I went up and I'm talking to him. Oh, shit happens, man. Don't worry about it. And then I could tell he's very scared of me the rest of the time he worked there.
Yeah.
And so I had a mental health evaluation for some reason, like I'm serious. And I took all that literature that I'd filled out. They like, what color is your shit? Like, there's weird stuff in there. And I gave it to him. His dad worked in the business. His dad, he had long red hair at the time.
Yeah.
He was shocked, but that was my way of trying to go, hey man, we're cool. Don't worry. Those guys are fired.
Fuck.
You're still going to stay. It's all good.
We are supported by Black Buffalo Zero. Look, if you're 21 and older and you dip or chew like me, check out award-winning tobacco alternative Black Buffalo Zero. It is everything you love about dip. The ritual, the feeling, the smell, nothing you don't, no compromise. Long cut end pouches made from edible green leaves, food-grade ingredients, and it comes in all the classic flavors that we love. Wintergreen, mint. If you are a tobacco guy like me, you know how great it is to open it up and smell mint dip. Straight. They got peach. They even got blood oranges. Their pouches have won multiple awards from industry publications. All products are proudly made in the USA, exclusively for 21 plus adult consumers. Listen to me. If you know the feel of sitting down with your boys, you're at a campfire, you're at a baseball game, and you're like me and the old stuff, you can't go back to it because you'll be there forever. It is a fantastic alternative. Black Buffalo sells their products online and ships directly to your front door on blackbuffalo.com. You can use promo code BERT for 15% off your first order. Black Buffalo also sells their products in thousands of retailers across the United States. Check out their store locator to find a location near you. I get mine from AM, PM when we're on the road. Look, honor your rituals with Black Buffalo. One last time, that is 15% off your first order with the code BERT at blackbuffalo.com. Black Buffalo Zero products are intended for adults aged 21 and older who are consumers of nicotine or tobacco. This podcast is brought to you by Grunt Style. I love Grunt Style. First of all, I have a bunch of Grunt Style shirts, but then I bought a bunch for my father-in-law because my father-in-law lives in Georgia, loves a shirt that represents him a little bit, and he's not a veteran. And you don't have to be a veteran to wear Grunt Style, but you do have to be like my father-in-law and love freedom, bacon, and whiskey. What I love about Grunt Style clothing is it fits great. It fits great, and it's subtle. It's subtle while representing you. They provide more than apparel. They instill pride in self, in military and country, veteran founded. Plus, they have 200 plus veteran employees, which matters to me. It genuinely does matter to me. I like to know that I'm giving my money to people better than me. I would have never been able to join the military, and those people did it. Now they started this company, and that's why I support them. Not only that, the clothing is fantastic. Bertcast listeners get 15% off on any order at Grunt Style. Always go to gruntstyle.com and use code BertCast15 at checkout for 15% off your entire order every time you place an order. Or go directly to the Bertcast collection page at gruntstyle.com. Address is on your screen right now. And use the code BertCast15 at checkout for 15% off your order. What was it like?
Let me tell Tom Warner's story.
Oh, please,
Tom Warner,
please.
who I'm still buddies with, he is the one that allowed Roseanne to sing national anthem. He owned the Padres at the time. But one time, Roseanne, I quit the show, and a lot of my work was getting her to go to the studio.
Yeah.
Like, they don't respect me. They don't. I go, you know what? We're going to make it work. But if you quit this show, you're going to regret it. I just know, because you worked so hard to get here. And I guess my job as a husband is to get you back in there, because I don't want to see how sad you would be.
Yeah.
So, and she'd kick in my radio on the way in or do whatever cause the thing. And then she'd get in there. One day she's like, that's it. They aren't respecting me. Writers, I quit. And she goes, let's go up and tell Tom Warner. So we go up to his office. He's sitting there. She goes, I've quit the show. And he goes, oh, well, that's not good. And she goes, they give me no respect. Can you give me one fucking reason why I should stay on this show? And he looked at her and goes, I could give you 100 million reasons. And that's what she made. And then even her, we looked at each other like, oh shit, that's some real money.
Yeah.
Let's go back down there. So I really enjoyed him, and I'm sure he has many interesting stories.
I only have one story that I overheard. I was in his office for a meeting to do a sitcom, and it might have been, I forget how it went down, but we had to leave the room, or he left the room to take a call about a Red Sox game, and you could tell this very casual dude was very passionate about the fucking Red Sox.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I was with my buddy Tony Hernandez, and we were just sitting in the room. We're like, oh, he fucking loves the Red Sox.
Yeah.
But he
imagine being that rich where you're like, I love the Red Sox. I also love this soccer team, and Liverpool, which is my team, too. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do with my.
What was it like? I mean, this is a weird question, and I hope it doesn't sound. What was it like to be tethered to someone in Hollywood that was so big and successful, then to be untethered and have to almost reboot yourself?
Well, I never looked at it like, I think a lot of people assumed I would be when we were together. How is it you as a man with the wife making more money and because she was making $1 million a week, I go, it's not the worst thing in the world to have your wife make $1 million a week. Let me tell you something. But, because I'd always admired her, and she was 7 years older. That was also in my head. Like,
oh, really?
So maybe it's 7 years, but it never, and she certainly didn't make me feel like I just wanted to support her. And she did the same with me. But, a lot of people talk like that, like, especially back in the day where, oh, the woman is but
even still, like, Segura and I are very closely tethered. And if we broke up, if we broke up and stopped doing our podcast together, there would be people going, I would be curious. I mean, I would just go on and keep doing what I do. But like, people would be like, oh, what's your next move? Like, Yeah. And so like, when the divorce got final, you're in LA, and did you go hit the road?
Well, I'll tell you, I had the best luck in the world, because we got in April of 1994, we got divorced, or May maybe. and July of 1994, True Lies came out. So I've been filming True Lies for the last year of the marriage. And we went, everywhere and did everything and, working with all these great
that
people.
That is great. That is great. Because that is kind of the stake in the ground of the tent of like your career. Because all of a sudden, everyone's like, fucking Tom Arnold killed it.
People said, and she called up all the presidents of all the networks, said, I will never work with you if you work with him. Like she went above and beyond.
I've had that happen to me.
But yeah. I think Chuck Lorre did that to me too after he had let him go on the show. But I didn't even know it. But the deal is that people did say that. People on TV were saying he will never work again. He rode her coattails. He'll be back in Iowa in 2 weeks. And I remember thinking, that's probably true. But I also thought I had 6 years of one of the best shows ever on television. That's some great shit to tell my grandkids, And then Jim Cameron's like, fuck them. True Lies comes out in 2 months. It's going to change everything. And I'm like, I wish I could believe that.
Yeah.
But it really did. It literally, it went, and when they tested True Lies, that people don't know what they're watching. It comes up, James Cameron movie. Oh my God. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yay. Jamie Lee Curtis. Amazing. Tom Arnold. Boo. And then, but by the end of that 2 hour and 15-minute movie, they have to fill out a form. Who did they like the best? What character? And it was me. So in 2 hours and 15 minutes, I changed the perspective of, a big group of people.
That movie changed the perspective of your career, Arnold's career, and Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah, that's
Jamie
true.
Lee Curtis, I never looked at her as like, I mean, I guess I did in like 48 hours. She was, I think, topless and beautiful.
No, that's Trading Places.
Trading Places.
That was great. By the way, I was great with that. Like, yeah, that was great.
I mean, she is.
Yeah.
But when she does the sexy dance for him, and you're like, whoa, because she looks like a mom in it.
Yeah.
And then you're like, holy fuck. But you were absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
Arnold was hilarious.
Yeah, he was
like
very
he was
good.
doing comedy.
Yeah. Well, he is funny. I mean, he's not as funny as he thinks he is, but he's very funny. He loves comedian. Let me tell you something. From the moment we became friends, he loved Bill Burl. He loved the old time.
Yeah.
He loves the modern guys. He loves comedians. And for him to go, especially then, I got cast that movie in 1993 at the end of the Roseanne stuff, and Jim Cameron, to his credit, he had seen a lot of actors of you and I's level. I'm not saying we're the same level, but I'm saying
no,
guys like us around town.
You're way beyond me.
And then bigger guys too. They get guys you'd make, and they were looking for their guy to play that part. And my agent called for William Morris because they thought Roseanne and I were leaving William Morris. So they did this thing. He's like, James Cameron wants to meet with you for True Lies. And I was like, that's bullshit. You think Roseanne and I are that's a mercy meeting. You've called him and said, the agency really respects you, want to work together. Please meet this asshole.
Yeah.
Then we can say he met you. And so I almost didn't go because I'm like, that's pathetic. Because there's no way I was getting that movie. But then I thought, I'm going to meet Jim Cameron. This is my one opportunity to meet the Terminator guy. And I'm going to go down there and meet him. And I went down and we chit-chat a little bit. He was great. And then he's like, all right, do the scene. And I go, I swear to God, I didn't even read it. I said to him, because I know I'm not going to get it. It just seems like, if I really tried and failed, it would hurt a little more. And he was like, he looked at me like he'd never seen that. And he goes, oh, it's 3 pages. Read it to me. And I read it one time. And then I see him kind of thinking. Then he yells, get Arnold down here. And I didn't know Arnold Schwarzenegger was up in the loft there. And I see Arnold coming down the stairs. And Jim Cameron said the reason that he cast me is because when I saw Arnold coming down the stairs, I said, I could take him. Like, I really meant it. I got that asshole guy thing. Like, you look at somebody like, you're always prepared. Who do I have to kill?
Yeah.
But then we had such great chemistry. But then he had to tell Fox Studios, that was because it was the most expensive movie ever made at the time. He goes, well, we got the third guy. We can start filming it. And we're like, that's fantastic, Jim Cameron. Who is it? He goes, it's Tom Arnold. They go, yeah, that's terrible news. And he goes, why? And he go, well, don't you read the tabloids? He's a crazy person. And he goes, I don't read the tabloids, but I wrote this movie. And he's the guy. And they're like, we're sorry, Jim. We can't approve Tom Arnold for this movie. And he said, well, actually, I'm sorry, because I wanted to make the movie here at Fox. Now I'm going to go down the street and make it at fucking Paramount. And they were like,
wow.
Okay, we'll give him a shot. I was on a probation. I didn't even know. The Fox guys would come and I'd be hugging on them. Oh, man, thank you guys for loving me. But that's why, and he was right. Jim Cameron was right to cast me. And I think
you were perfect in that movie.
And boy, that was and it was also fun to go and film it during the end of a marriage where it's all, there's so much madness going on, and to go and hang out with these guys. It took 7 months, and they were great fun. And I got to do a lot of stuff. Bill Paxton too. People don't. Oh my God, that fucking guy.
He was awesome.
He was awesome. Nobody loved making movies more than Bill Paxton, man. He just was, and he'd known Cameron from when they started in the business. They started as like set guys where they would distress tables or
Bill
whatever.
Paxton was also in Titanic.
Yeah. And Cameron made him dive to the bottom of the ocean too in his submersible. Like they filmed that documentary, and he had to get in and pee in a bucket, go down. And I was thinking about that with that explosion of that thing. Although Cameron's very on top of stuff, but that's a friendship where they're like, I'm going to send you down 5 miles to the Mariana Trench or whatever.
Bill Paxton passed away from a heart attack, right?
He was getting open heart surgery. It wasn't a big thing, and something went sideways. Yeah, and he had an issue. And I think a lot of people discover they have issues. A lot of people discover it when they die. You see these young athletes. I have the biggest heart camp in America for kids with heart defects and heart disease. Camp Del Corazon out on Catalina Island.
That wasn't meant as a joke, I guess.
No,
right.
but I'm telling you.
A lot of people find out they have problems when they die.
Yeah, but I didn't even know I had a heart thing until after I was out at the camp for a while. Like one of the pediatric cardiologists looked at me and goes, Lord, how's your heart? I go, my fucking heart is awesome. It's very fast and very loud. Sounds like someone's beating on the cabin right now. And then they said, you got to come down and run through some tests. And, I had to immediately get some stents in. I mean, it happened quick. And
so I'm always curious. I do not want to pivot from this conversation.
No.
But like, had you been to a cardiologist before that and done all the scans?
No.
Okay,
no.
that's all I need
and
to know.
I did it. I had 8 tests in one day. They shoot the blue nuclear diode. They could really see, because I did know the people at UCLA. I got some nice treatment. And
I have my cardiologist appointment next 2 weeks. I go every 6 months.
That's what I do too. Yeah. And you take a stress test. You get on the
take a stress test. I do the CT scans.
Oh yeah. Of course.
I did them in my neck. I did them in my chest. I have zero blockage in my heart and minimal in my left.
Well, you have good genetics. I tell you.
No, I have bad genetics.
Oh, you do.
And what's crazy is my dad has zero cholesterol. I mean, my dad's on statins hardcore. There's a big thing. I'm sure we'll get pulled down on the internet now talking about this. There's a big thing questioning statins and whether or not they're effective in lowering cholesterol. I only know that because Rogan texts me all the time anytime statins come up. But I am on a huge health kick starting today. Today because I've been on tour for a month and I have not statins. I gotta be honest with you. When I got on statins, for statins for everyone listening, it's like cholesterol medicine. I started eating shittier because I felt like I was allowed to.
Right.
Before statins, I was very conscious of what I put into my body. And by the way, I will have to say this. Before statins, the fattest I ever was like 220. 225. Once I got on statins, I got up to 250, 260, and I just, because I go, I can definitely eat a cheeseburger. It's not going to fucking affect me.
Right.
But it does affect you. But
I mean, I believe whatever your cardiologist says. I think I'm on a statin.
I'm sure you are.
I'm on like 10 things because of the heart failure and the other stuff. And
do you work out?
I do. I do an hour of cardio a day, like for real. And our house is small. The kids and I, you met them. Our pool is very big, but the house is very small. And because they wanted a pool, as we downgrade our life, we started Beverly Hills, now we're in the Valley. I'd make fun of it, except I'm very close to you, but you're on a fancy street here. I don't even know where you live in real life.
No.
So, but it was very close to the house, and that was good. But I do an hour. I have an elliptical. It's in front of it's outside. I have 2, you know how fucking hot it is.
Oh my God.
2 giant fans, and I just make it. I just do whatever I got to do to get that hour of hard, and it's good for my mental health. It's good for my physical health. It does make you think, oh, now I could really eat. Like taking the statin, you're like, oh, I could really, but that's that crazy thing in our head.
Well, I mean, mine is
Why did you go to a cardiologist?
My dad. Oh,
that's smart.
My dad, it's kind of an interesting story. I'm sure I'm repeating myself, but one Easter, Joey Diaz, you know Joey Diaz?
Of course, he used to. My Best at Sports Show, loved him.
Yeah, Joey Diaz slipped my dad marijuana edibles,
right?
Popcorn, and my dad had never had marijuana since college, and so he was.
Did he tell you he was going to do that? Did Joey?
No, Joey.
That's fucked up.
No, but Joey just opened up the popcorn and started thinking my dad knew what it was. I guess.
Okay, that's fine.
And then my dad starts eating it. Joey's eating it, and he's like, "We're gonna see the devil's dick tonight, Mr. K."
Yeah.
My dad's like, "What?" And he's like, "Eating a lot of marijuana, Mr. K." My dad's like, "There's marijuana in this?"
Yeah.
And then my dad looked. There's a great picture online you can find of my dad realizing he's eating marijuana.
Yeah.
And us all laughing.
Yeah.
Then I ate marijuana.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I'm not gonna let you do this alone.
Right. You're not gonna die alone.
Yeah. And so then me and my dad ended up. That was Easter morning.
Yeah.
Easter evening, as the sun sets, we're having cigars, drinking whiskey in my backyard, and my dad and I'm very high, and I just said to my dad, I feel like you don't like me, like at times, like I feel like I bother you, and he just is high as fuck, and he goes, I'm afraid I'm gonna lose you. He's like, my dad died when he was 42, and I think I was probably 44, 45 at the time, 43 maybe, or I might have been 42, and my dad goes, so I just I pick on you, and only because I didn't do it for my dad, and I lost my dad, and so. I said, well, how can we fix this? And he goes, let me send you to a doctor. I want to make sure I'm not going to lose you. And so I said, okay. And he goes, you'll let me do that? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, I can pick your cardiologist? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, and you'll do all the tests? I said, yeah, if it makes our relationship better, I'll do it all. So my dad got me a cardiologist. I was in doing a stress test and a CT scan the next week. And everything was great. I had a great fucking realization about health by going in to get that CT scan.
Right.
That, for everyone listening, that checks the calcium in your heart, the blockage.
Yes.
And I walked in, and there's this older black woman behind the counter at Cedars where you get the scan. And she said, you don't look like you're in a good mood. I said, I don't want to be here. She goes, honey, the fact that you walk through those doors means we won't roll you through those doors. And if we roll you through those doors, you really don't want to be here.
Yeah.
And I went, ooh. And because based on that conversation, I don't like it, but I go to the doctor every 6 months.
Yeah.
I go to the doctor every 6 months.
Well, you have kids. You have a wife, but your dad, that's a what? Now I'm all for, maybe I should have eaten some pot with my dad. But that moment.
My dad eats a lot of pot.
Yeah.
He's also ruined Pebble Beach by eating marijuana. Well, I bought his fucking, I mean, just being very clear, it's $6,000 a person to play at Pebble Beach, I think. It's not cheap. It's not cheap.
Yeah.
And my dad's back was out.
Yeah.
And so he's like, I'll eat some edibles and then he had a searing panic attack and he couldn't be by the cliffs. Pebble Beach is entirely on cliffs.
Yeah, it is.
So he ruined.
I personally respect your dad for ruining Pebble Beach. But it's such a great father-son moment because you don't usually have that conversation. You don't say, hey, Dad, I figure you're on my ass or whatever. And then he says, well, I'm afraid to lose you. I mean, that's like shit. Usually it goes the other way where you're 42 and your dad's just, you're like, dude, you got to look at me. I got it. Oh, I'm about to go to the doctor. And so for your dad to do that is very, very fucking cool.
He's a really, my dad, I thought of this the other day. My dad did something very, I can't tell. I've asked him about it and I don't get like a straight answer, but he, as a child, he instilled in me that I loved being under pressure. He just told me, man, and I don't know if it was accurate, if I was too young to notice pressure, but he told me, man, when the chips are on the line, you perform.
He said that about you?
He said that my whole life.
That's kind of amazing.
My whole life.
Yeah.
And so I love pressure. Like in any pressure situation, I am ingrained to be drawn towards that flame. And my first development deal, or my second development deal in Hollywood, no one wanted to follow a comedian named Earthquake because he was so.
I never wanted to follow Earthquake.
Yeah, no one wanted to.
Yeah,
and I said, put me there.
Oh,
I was
God,
I'll take it. I like it.
Yeah.
I like the energy. I like the possibility that failure is so fucking high I don't know. I just like pressure. I love it, and I love it in sports. I love it in when I shot Secret Time, one of my first Netflix special, I bombed on the first show. We were doing 2. I bombed.
Mhm.
That was unusable in my opinion. I mean, you
Mhm.
could have used it. It just wouldn't have been a great special.
Mhm.
And my wife just casually, as I'm like sitting going, fuck, I got to do it. I got to really hit it out of the
Mhm.
park. My wife goes, well, you love pressure, so this is when you perform. And I went,
Yeah.
oh yeah. And I kind of calmed down and I was like,
Mhm.
oh, this is what I do. It's a
Mhm.
bizarre parenting. My dad's still is a great parent,
Yeah. Well, you defined your personality too, like, and you carry that with you, like, uh, uh, my dad was always like, you're the toughest in the family, and you're tough, which it was pretty easy in my family, but you could
Wait,
do.
how many in your family? You, your
I'm the oldest
sister?
of 7 kids.
Wow.
My dad was a single dad, and he married the next door neighbor when I was 10, and she was not a fan. But he was very, and he wasn't like a hardcore pressure to me. All these things are pressure packed. Hearing your story and hearing you rise above it, and by the way, the pressure of doing a great second show compared to the shit that people have to deal with in the real world.
Is not, yeah.
But it's a lot of pressure. But I didn't know pressure until I became a father. Like I always dreamed of becoming a father, or I always said with all 4 of my ex-wives, I want to have a family, I want to do this, I want to do that. And it was a long journey because, things didn't work out, whatever. And so when it happened, the moment my son was born, I realized, oh, it's a good thing I really did want to be a father
Oh yeah.
because it's on.
Yeah. Not
And-
enough people think. Jen Kirkman
Yeah.
used to say, I don't know, I'm quoting her on something, but she was saying that she knew she didn't want kids,
Mhm.
and that not enough people think, do I actually want them?
That's very true.
Because it's a solid decision to go, this isn't right for me,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to do it. So many people in this country just go, yeah, you have kids. I'm 25. That's what we do.
Yeah.
And I knew I was going to be a better dad than a single guy. Like
Mhm.
I was like, I'm gonna be a great dad.
Yeah.
And it's adversity. I think I'm a good dad. Leanne will say I'm a better dad than I'll give myself credit.
Yeah.
I'm a good dad, but like I'm also
Well, that's how you know
dork.
you're a great dad because she says it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, and you have a long. What do you got? 20 years married to the same person. That
20,
sounds
yeah.
like the best. By all accounts, she's amazing, and you're amazing, and sometimes it does work out. Sometimes, and that's great to have that co-parenting. I don't have that. I have a situation where the mother and I just don't. I mean, there's a lot of funny stuff because I'm a comedian.
Yeah.
How many times she's called the cops or swatted me and the kids?
Yeah.
Or, and the cops will take her away, or the cops will do this, and I have all these cameras in the house, and we kind of laugh about it. But I think my kids have seen a lot of stuff, but also every time it's in the back of my head, this might be the thing that, and they might be able to take the kids away because, I didn't do anything. But you could say if I didn't have the footage, or then you could go to court, and every time you go to court, you think, okay, I got this. There's no way, but what if there is a way? So that pressure for the last 6 years has been like no other, because I genuinely care so much about it, and I get so much of my self-esteem out of being a father. I'm not kidding. It's a good thing I did a lot of stuff before. My life is downsized significantly, but when you go, okay, it's me and the kids here, we don't need all this, house and stuff, and they're gonna love me no matter what. They're not gonna. But you just want a day at a time. I just want to, I've had my health issues too. I just want to. Every day is important because that could be the last day. Not to think maudlin, but you just think I got to make this a great day.
Money. I mean, money in a family. When you don't have it and then you have it,
Mhm.
I think it confuses people in our
Mhm.
family. I know I'm speaking just from my.
No, I did. I understand that.
Because like my daughters have been on tour with me for 5 weeks.
Yeah.
And
How old are they?
18, 19, and 17.
Oh,
17
that's
yesterday.
amazing.
I turned 17
That's
yesterday.
amazing.
Yeah. And so they had never flown private, and I had to fly private somewhere to get somewhere to be able to get to do the thing. And my daughter Georgia, who's very, I would say, analytical, I introduced Georgia to Mitch Hedberg, and she goes,
Oh
and,
yeah, I like to.
and Isla's fucking crying in the
Yeah.
background, going, "This is the best thing I've ever heard."
Yeah.
And Georgia goes, "Is he high?" And I went, "Yeah."
Yeah.
She goes, "So wait, are we laughing because he's high?" And I was like, "No, we're laughing because it's funny." And she goes, "Well, wait, does he still do drugs?" And I went, "No, he's dead." And she goes, "Well, if he's dead, this is kind of sad."
Yeah,
and I
she's
went,
right. Oh
I
my
go,
God, that's
"Hey,"
very cool.
I go, "Hey, you're taking the fun out of fucking
Yeah,
Mitch
yeah.
Hedberg." Like,
No, but
and-
that's a good kid. That's a good kid because we will laugh and continue to laugh at these guys that we really respected as comics or writers, whatever. But it's tragic.
it's tragic.
And if we don't acknowledge that, you have somebody like your daughter who's like looking at life like a smart 19-year-old or 17-year-old, like that's the kid you want to, go, hey, this, you want them to ask questions. And it is sad. It's terribly sad. It's sad for his parents. It's sad for people that loved him, and being successful at performing when you got that other thing too, it just doesn't end well.
She said we got on a private jet and her friend's loving it. Her friend's traveling with us.
Mm-hmm.
She's loving it. Isla's loving it.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia's just sitting there. And I said, like, they're like taking pictures, and
Mm-hmm.
Georgia's not taking any pictures. And Georgia looks at me and goes, "What happened to us?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" She goes, "Like, why is this our life? Like, this is insane." And I went, "Yeah, I don't know."
Mm-hmm.
She goes, "Is it better?"
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, not in my head. I'm like, it turns into the exact analogy of, do you use a private jet? Are you really making that much more money to fly there for that expense?
Mm-hmm.
Or would it be fine just to not do the thing and then just stay home, and then it's a wash. And you wonder, is making money a wash? Is focusing on your career to make money, or is downsizing and go, what do we need? Is that the value? Because I look at the happiest times we had as a family, and now granted, we lived in this small house during the pandemic. We were, we grew up in this small house. We were at that my sister lives there now, and we were in that small house last night, my whole family, and that house has such great energy.
Yeah.
And then you start saying, is making money a wash? Is focusing on your career, focused on making more money, really burning it at both ends for as long as you can? Are you, and I mean, this is like an existential question that I think I hear so many comics bring up now. Like Stavros, Chris,
the guy that cried.
Yeah, the guy that cried, Chris Stefano. But like, it really is like, is
at least we're asking the question.
Yeah.
But in my dad's day, or my grandmother's day, they didn't ask. They did that. Mom stayed over here. They did that, and you really couldn't. And that was just the way things were. Now, I'm sure that sometimes the fathers didn't want to be around the kids. And even when I got divorced from my fourth ex-wife, my lawyer, he said, "What do you want?" And I said, "Well, I want 50-50 custody." He goes, "No, you don't. No. Wait till they're like 7 and they'll be fun." I go, No. I am 60 years old. I want 50-50. I don't know where I'll be when they're 7. And to convince people, you genuinely want to, and that you could do it all. You could do it all. That other generation, and I do need to work more. I do need to make more money during COVID. But the kids, we're home. We're doing Zoom school.
Yeah.
And I kept saying, you guys will remember this for the rest of your lives. It's the greatest time. And they're like, I don't think so. But for me, it was. And all the things that haven't gone perfect for my career the last 10 years has forced me to be with my kids. And at the end of life, I know I'm not going to go, man, I wish that one thing would have happened. I'm going to go, I spent that time with my kids. I haven't had a date in 6 years. That's not important.
Yeah.
But I, all the time, and it's that way you don't get so worried about career stuff when you go, okay, what's the reality? Oh, I'm here with these guys.
Yeah.
And your life gets smaller and smaller. I mean, our house is a disaster. Yeah, we pick it up, but it's kids stuff. You could just, it's not my kids still sleep in my bed. I got 2 Craftmatic remote control beds. My thinking was they'll sleep on the one side and I'll have my own, and we got our own remote controls, but that's just not how it goes. I get pushed off.
You're in the middle of
my son's a big kid.
Yeah.
He has never slept. The house we moved into was only a 3-bedroom, and I had to use one of the bedrooms as my office.
Yeah.
So I got those Murphy beds, so I could pull his out, which there's no room hardly, but you could pull it out. He could sleep on. My daughter has her own room, and I've never pulled it out, never, because he doesn't even pretend he wants to sleep in his own bed. My daughter will do a thing like, Daddy, I'm going to sleep in my own bed. And I go, oh, that's fantastic, honey. I love you. And then what will happen is it gets sort of bedtime, and she'll say, can I come in here for a little bit? I go, oh, of course you can. And then it doesn't work out. I know there'll be a day.
That's so funny. We got into a conversation about this last night. Last night we got into a conversation about sleeping with your kids because my wife did not allow it, would not allow it. And I was always like, just let them get in bed with us. When I remember sneaking Isla into bed with us, she's going, just don't make a lot of noise. Mom won't know. Because I was like, it was either that or deal with the issue at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And so, and I realized last night, and I don't think I've said this out loud to myself, but I slept with my parents until I was like fucking 10.
Yeah.
Like I slept, and because my dad slept with my nephew, his grandson the other night, and he goes, buddy, I can't. I'd let him do it because I let you do it, but he's all over me. Like he's fucking all over me. And I can't, I gotta be, I need my space. And I said to my dad, I go, wait, I slept with I needed to touch my dad to make sure nothing bad was going to happen.
Right. That's right.
So I slept with my arm over over him and my leg over him. And my dad goes, yeah. And you were doing that pretty late in life. I went, well, no, I was like 6, right? He goes, buddy, you were 10. And I go, no, I wasn't. And he goes, we were in the new house. And I went, oh fuck, I was 10. I might have even been 11.
Yeah.
Like I was I was a couple years away from hooking up with chicks.
Yeah.
And I'm fucking sleeping with my arm and leg over my
dad. At night, what usually happens is we all go to bed. Now my son will go first. He gets my daughter and I stay up a little bit, we do everything. Then she'll come in, and then I'll fake. I used to fake sleep with him. You know how you fake sleep, then you can get up, go on your computer.
Yeah.
Now I just go to sleep. I'm older, but the best, it is tight quarters for dad because they start moving, or they fight. I have to get in between them and touch each other. And but the best is when I wake up to pee, which I do every fucking night. And my son is holding my hand, my son who's 10.
Yeah.
And my daughter has got pressed up against me. And I think, well, this is as good as it gets.
Oh yeah.
There's no. So whatever happens organically. If I had a strong wife, that said, "Here's the rules," I'd listen. I'd go, "Okay, I disagree," but I listen to, I also think that getting the kids to sleep when they're young, one of my proudest things is I can put both kids in their baby seats in the back of the car, drive around Beverly Hills, drive up Benedict Canyon. We lived in Benedict Canyon. Drive up to Mulholland, circle, late in the afternoon until they went to sleep. Then I could get each one of them, one at a time, out of the car, upstairs, all their clothes off, cleaned up, pajamas, bed. And that, to me, that's to master that. There's nothing I've ever done that equals that ability. And nobody wants to hear about it. Hey, guess what I did? I did this thing that a lot of people do every day, but I did it. So,
I remember we had a friend who's it's funny just the parenting, the parenting quick fixes. Like my sister, to calm down her son, used to. This is insane. This is insane. And my sister will own this. We went to San Diego with them, and me and my wife, and we hadn't really watched them parent yet. My sister and her husband, and my parents were there, and they had been with them a night, and so they had seen it. And so whenever their son melted down, they would bring out a cake with a candle and sing happy birthday to him.
Oh, that's brilliant. I get that. No, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. No.
And Leanne and I were just like, huh? And they're like, everybody sing, come on, happy birthday.
That's so great.
And he'd be like, oh, it's our birthday.
Yeah.
And Leanne's like,
how old was the kid?
Oh, he was a baby.
Oh.
He was like, I mean, I don't know how old he is now, but he was definitely way younger than that. It was before the pandemic.
Yeah.
And so
that's brilliant. You got to do that. You're on the road with your family. You don't really have time to work through these things. You don't want people to think your kids are assholes or you're assholes. The birthday thing is solid gold.
Oh, I remember watching a mom one time. We were she was at a party, and a bunch of people are at her house, and her kids aren't going to sleep. She had twins, and she just walked them out as if they were going to go on a road trip. She goes, if I get them in the car, they fall asleep immediately. And then got them in the thing. And she's like, all right, I'm going to go get some stuff. And then sat outside of the car with a glass of wine, like on their porch, waiting for them to go to sleep. And I just was like, huh?
I get that because that's sleep bad. Yeah, you get messed up. That time gets messed up. I drive around Beverly Hills, they go to sleep, and I'd be like, there's a parking ramp on Little Santa Monica there, free parking thing. And I pull in there. It's dark. Okay, pull in there. Did I get my iPad out? They're asleep, whatever. And I still go to that parking. I was pulled in there pretty recently. I'm just sitting in the parking ramp.
Yeah.
Just because it's my peaceful. And Jamie Lee Curtis came up. I hadn't seen her a little bit. She goes, what are you doing? I go, oh, I'm just sitting in the parking ramp. It's concerned. Are you okay? I go, yeah, I'm okay. I'm great. Good to see you. But it's just that place where you could chill, and then one day they start going to sleep on time. But, you do all those things. That birthday thing. My kids, they've been through a high conflict 6-year divorce.
It's got to be tough.
My daughter has she's 7, never seen her mom and I hug, which makes things a lot easier. My son has never said, boy, I wish you guys are back together. But I'm hypersensitive to things because I think, well, that the stuff they've witnessed is just, especially my son. I cut more slack than people.
Yeah.
But he did, when he would have his meltdowns, this is after he was, long after his mom moved out, longer. And he's a big boy, he's a head taller than everybody in school and way thicker. And he would do a thing where he'd lay down on the hall and just say, I'm not moving. And then one day I'm like, well, our life has to go on. Me and Quinn, you're welcome to do that, but you need to go in your room. And he's like, I'm not going to go. And I would pick him up, and and I would just take him to his room, put him in his room. And then 10 minutes later, he'd come out. He was fine. Now I have to drag him because he's so big.
Yeah.
He does it very seldom. But my daughter, the first time I've ever given her a timeout was 2 weeks ago, and 1 hour timeout, the first time. And because she done something, and 1 hour timeout, no phone, no, and she was so mad at me for 2 weeks.
Really?
Yeah, I do imagine what it was like to be a parent before FaceTime. When you couldn't even call your, you couldn't see, definitely couldn't see him. It's not the same as hugging him, but, and she told me, I'm mad about that. And I go, why do you think I gave you the FaceTime? She goes, well, I made a mistake. I go, we all make mistakes. And then but she just wasn't used to, because she doesn't do anything wrong.
It's so easy to, I was with my nephew last night, and we were playing catch, and and he's really athletic.
Mm-hmm.
And I
what
started.
Were you playing? How old's your nephew?
I do not know.
But give me is he?
I couldn't tell you.
30 or 15?
He just started. He's probably 6 years old.
Okay.
Probably 6.
And you're throwing a football or baseball?
Football. And Nerf. And and he's really good. He's really athletic.
Mm-hmm.
And we started doing this thing where we're counting, see how many times we
go
go
back
and
you got to
forth.
do that. That's great.
And we did it. And we got to 4, and then we got to 5, and then we got to like 12.
Yeah.
But he dropped it on 12, and everyone kind of made a noise, and he got embarrassed, and then he melted down, and he didn't want to play anymore. And there's part of me as a outside parent that goes, this is a great life lesson about how quitting doesn't only losers quit. You need to persevere. And then I don't know why I'm in this self-correcting phase. I'm doing therapy a lot lately. And so, or yesterday rather, I had therapy right before I went over there. And I thought, oh, I melted down as a kid. Like, I melted down a lot. I cried a lot. And I remember my dad being like, don't fucking cry in the middle of a fucking baseball field. Pull your shit together. Like, don't, like, I melted down a great deal. And I was like, oh, that's part of being a kid. Only like psychos, like fucking Tom Marinovich's dad, remember that guy?
Yes, I do.
Would be like, don't you fucking cry.
Yeah.
And then that's how you raise a drug
They're
addict.
psychos. And people on the internet that say, we're dad role models, don't baby, no participation trophies. No, they're all so full of shit. I love participation trophies because it gets the kid to go, look at the trophy I got. Maybe I'll do this again next year.
They don't remember what it was like when no one got trophies except for the one kid that ended up going pro.
Exactly.
He's going to get trophies the rest of his fucking life. First impressions matter. There are no two ways around it. And your face is probably the first thing that someone's going to notice about you. How your skin looks is going to determine how good or bad the impression you give them is. I decided It's time to put my best face forward, and I started using Caldera Labs to do so. Clinically proven to reduce wrinkles, fine lines, and signs of aging, Caldera Lab is the leader in men's skincare and is here to save your day and your confidence. Use our exclusive offer at calderalab.com/Bert to enjoy 20% off their best products. I love the under eye icon, I think it's called, that they have. For me, that's the one thing I see when I see my face. I look at my bags under my eyes or how tired I look because I barely slept. And that stuff works. It tightens it up. It's good. I sometimes I'll put that on first, then I'll put an eye patch on. I'm telling you just how fancy a boy I am. Caldera Lab creates high-performance men's skincare products, and the regimen is your twice-a-day formula to transform your skin. And the best part, it's super easy. It literally takes 30 seconds in the morning, 30 seconds at night. This little time for a huge benefit is compounding interest. I can get behind this all day long. Get 20% off by going to calderalab.com/Bert. That's 20% off by going to calderalab.com/Bert. Jump into skin and first impression royalty with Caldera Lab.
Yesterday, we did a thing in the pool because we have, again, a big pool, small house, and they swim laps and they're so competitive, even though my daughter's 2.5 years younger, so competitive. And they're starting to do weights. My son is especially, and have these 5-pound weights, and he's doing how many. I made mistakes saying, I'll pay you $1 for every lap in the pool you do, thinking he could do 2.
Yeah.
And he did 140 the first day. I'm like, we got to fix that out. And so we have a chart. It went down to 5 cents or whatever. But they compete, and they took these 5-pound weights, threw one at the deepest part. It's a very deep pool, and then dive down, bring it up. And then my daughter do it too. And then my daughter said, I'm going to do 2 of those. So anytime your kids are in the pool, you're on point. You're the lifeguard, you know. And my thing is, I wish I could sit here casually, but I'm just going to have to get in the pool, make it closer. And I also thought this yesterday. I went to the pool myself first, and I thought, I have people watch the kids, me. Somebody should probably be out here watching me too. I mean, that's when you're getting old. But she went down and got 2, pulled them up, and she goes, I can do 3. And I go, that's a lot of weight. So she basically got a one handle. That. She did it, then she did 4. And so sometimes you watch them, do these.
Send her out to Laird Hamilton's house. Laird and Gabby do that every fucking day.
Oh, yeah.
We used to do.
I love Laird.
They're the fuck.
Gabby. I mean, everything about, yeah.
I was really good at, probably my proudest moment as a dad was there were a bunch of kids over, families were over, a bunch of kids were over, but it's like some families we don't really know that well, and their kids, and then some we do. And Georgia and Isla come in bathing suits, and they're like, Dad, it's no fun out there. And I was like, what? And they're like, come out, and can you create a game? And I was like, are you sure? And they're like, you're so good at it, Dad. Make a game for us. So I come out, and Georgia announces to the pool, guys, my dad's out. It's about to be awesome. He's great at games.
Oh my God, that makes me so
happy. I was like, this is what I do. And then, and then I was like, but I used to create games for them, and I was really, I don't know. I love the playfulness of life. I don't like.
Yeah, it's very good.
So I don't really follow any politics, and I have the luxury of doing that, because I'm a fucking white dude, straight white dude. But like, I don't. I just love I love parties. I love playing. I love all of it. I mean, it's curious. I've heard you say a couple times, like, what do you want to be doing professionally? Like, would you like to do a talk show? Like, I'm always curious. At your level, I'd be curious in seeing anything you do.
Well, I don't. There's nothing specific. I think I probably never had goals that go. My first goal was because my dad. The only time we heard him laugh was when there was a Bob Hope special. I was a kid, and I remember we'd be upstairs hearing him laugh, like really laugh. And I thought, I'm going to do what Bob Hope does, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And so one of the first things I did when I moved here was a Bob Hope special. And Bob Hope called my dad. He wrote signed all this stuff for him. And I remember thinking, okay, that's it. I really don't have any. But with each job, it was a stand-up, which is my original love, of course.
Do you tour at all?
I do. Not enough. I don't have an agent. I need to get an agent because I do enjoy it. I do the shows here and there, and I do a lot of stuff in town.
Best Damn Sports Show was
that was a great show. I mean, that's I've done to get paid well to talk about sports, like guys like me and you, like it was crazy. It was crazy because I'd sit there and I didn't have to be objective. I was a fan.
Yeah.
And if I loved the Cubs, I loved the fucking Cubs. And I would sit there between people like Ernie Banks and Willie Mays going, holy shit. And it takes you back to, it's like music, sports takes you back as a kid. You're
Oh, my
like,
God.
how is this even possible? How am I playing football with Joe Montana? How am I, these are crazy things. Well, how lucky am I? So that was great fun. And a lot of comedians came on.
Brody Stevens was the warm-up.
Brody Stevens was the best guy. Brody Stevens was, I was a huge fan, and Brody Stevens got in a lot of trouble on the show. First of all, but I got him out of all. I remember once he was sitting in Human Resources. I walked by, I saw him there and go, what? Oh, Brody, what now? He goes, well, they said I got to me and said something. I got to fight with the wardrobe movement. I go, I love the wardrobe movement. You can't fight. And then I went to them and go, yeah, guys, anybody else but Brody Stevens. Brody's got to be, I'm letting him come back. And they go, God damn it. I go, and then the human resource woman goes, well, how many chances are you going to give him? And I go, however many he needs.
Yeah.
He's that one guy. He would get up there during 9/11, and his opening act was, "Hi, I forget if it was Desert Storm, a veteran of whatever." And we had a lot of soldiers. We'd have people from Fort Irwin and Camp Hill in our audience, and they goes, "I'm a veteran." They go, "Yeah." He goes, I'm an Iraq veteran, from the Iraq Army, but still, and he would take this shit like. It would stun people, but he would get up there, man. Such an interesting guy, and from the store and stuff, and I always rooted for him. And he would tell stories about his family, how he had to shave his sister's back, and I think they were all true. But I feel he is an example of he was changing his medication, and if you know anybody that has mental health issues, it's on a medication that's changing, ask if you can be around. It's a terrible thing for everybody, but there's a period of time where you need to be,
I was around a couple times when one time he got off medication, and it was right before his first big breakdown, and he came to my house, and was just so fucking intense.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but man, on medication, he was the best. We lived really close to each other when we in our old house, and so I'd see him every day. I'd see him every day at Starbucks. My daughters knew him. Like he was just it was funny. I forced my daughters pretty heavily into softball because I love baseball.
No, softball's great.
And so I just would, for fun, a way to connect was we'd go out and hit balls.
Oh yeah.
And it would be wiffle balls in the front yard, and they had such pretty swings. And Brody comes walking by one time, and I'm doing it with George, and he goes, throwing her hands, moving, positioning weight well, all on the back leg. I like it, and it's just I miss that guy. He bums me out.
He could throw, man. Bro, I think he played for Arizona State.
He played for Arizona State. And
we had how they have the Showbiz softball league.
Yeah.
And it'd be like Seinfeld and Best Damn Sports Show. It was the one time, and I'd done softball league with Roseanne and Jackie Thomas and my other shows, and that was fun. But with Best Damn Sports Show, we participated. We had like Ken Griffey Jr. played outfield for us once, and John Kruk was our left-handed shortstop. Everybody's like, well, John Kruk's fat. No, he is such a great athlete. He can do anything.
I just showed John Kruk videos to Leanne yesterday.
Oh,
yesterday, I was like, you don't understand how great John Kruk was.
He was so great. He's such a great guy. He was that first group of him and Michael Irvin and John Sally and Chris Rose, and man, you just couldn't have better.
What a fucking legendary group. Who are all the pull up all the sports, all the hosts for Best Damn Sports Show?
John Sally was basketball. Michael Irvin was football. We had Deacon Jones first. Michael Irvin had been arrested for cocaine possession. And I said, when he gets fat, then he gets to be on the show. Yeah. I just knew he'd be great. And John Kruk was our baseball guy. Chris Rose is really great at the Lisa Guerrero was our
Leanne Tweeden went to Florida State.
Oh, she did.
She was a DG at Florida State,
yeah.
I think. Okay. She ended up marrying Rascal Flatts guy.
Oh, she did?
I might be
I know,
wrong.
that's her.
Actually,
She's
I'm
nice.
totally wrong. I'm totally wrong.
Leanne
I'm totally wrong.
okay.
I'm thinking of someone else.
Oh, okay. Leanne tweeted. I mean, Lisa Guerrero's done very well, and or Jillian Barbie, I love
So
her
is Jillian.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess Bob Oshak and Ari Spears were guests. Clarissa Thompson, she's great, but Leanne Tweed got in a little bit of trouble with the
The
Al Franken thing.
Al Franken.
Yeah, and I do have
And
compassion.
Leanne's a conservative.
Very.
Right? Yeah.
And I think what happened is, you've probably, I don't know if you've ever gone to the USO stuff or done stuff at, it's great fun.
Yeah.
And Al Franken was doing a lot of that. There's a picture, and I'd seen the picture 10 years before it became public, where they're on one of those C2s or whatever, fly back, and he's being funny. He's hovering Leanne's asleep, hovering his hands over her, boobs, like a hilarious comedian thing. But he gave her the picture. And so 10 years before it became public, I'd seen it. I was like, oh, that's okay, whatever that is. And I think people got in her head and said, you could be the conservative Me Too person because of that picture. And you could write books and you could help people. And when she first came out and said that, started talking about it, I called her to say, I got your back, whatever you're going through. And she didn't call me back. It was the first time she'd never called me back. I was like, that's
Really?
strange. And then as it started, I realized, and I also thought, I saw her on The View talking, and they said, do you want him to lose his job? And she's like, no. Like, she genuinely meant it, but he was losing his job.
It kind of destroyed him, right?
Yeah. And so this Jillian Barbary and Lisa Guerrero, I said, I can't get Leanne to call me back. I want to talk about this. And they said, come and meet us at the Polo Lounge right now. And I said, so I went down to the Polo Lounge, and they're like, I'll tell you how to get to her and talk to you. The reason we didn't get to go that Super Bowl with you is because Leanne was extra close to the executive producer. I go, no, that never happened. I knew everything. You don't know everything. You thought you knew everything. But women pay attention to these things. If someone is,
really,
and so I called her and said, I know what happened with you and whatever, called me back immediately, crying. It was the night before Al resigned. But, she's
she kind of got used.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Everybody got used to that. Al Franken got screwed. She got screwed because they put her out on a press junket to do The View and all these other shows, and with nobody. There was nobody with her. All these bad men. They said, you go out here and do our political work for us. And they did not. She was out there alone. And that's a horrible feeling. But my experience with her was she's very sweet. And, she got caught up in that thing where they coached her up and they put her out there. She's the one that paid the price too. She and Al Franken.
Tiffany fucking Fallon.
Oh yeah.
Tiffany Fallon. Pull up Tiffany Fallon. I don't know why I always think
Yeah.
she's Leanne Tweeden. She's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
And she did a lot of the stuff that Leanne Tweeden did.
Oh yeah.
Tiffany Fallon was one of those, like, moved to LA and absolutely
she's pretty.
beautiful. Yeah, she was a DJ at Florida State. There's a bunch of people. The lady that so funny. I'm texting with this.
I almost just said, hey, I was reading about a guy from Florida State last night. He was a frat guy. I swear to God, I was going to tell you about yourself, like for real. Like I read that Rolling Stone thing. I'm like, oh yeah, do you know that guy?
But are you the most successful person you went to high school with?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I am. There's a fictional character from Ottumwa, Iowa named Radar O'Reilly from MASH. But by far, although there was a Miss Universe and Miss America before I was born from Ottumwa, Iowa, Carol Morris. And she was both. The only person who been both.
Really?
And quite beautiful and very successful, still alive. So we might hook up. But yeah, it's it depends on how you look at success. There's been some people that have been successful in different things, farming, finance and different things. But, I was the only person that said, I want to be a comedian or want to do this thing. And at one point, I worked on the kill floor of the meatpacking plant for 3 years after high school.
Slow that sentence down.
Yep.
You worked on the kill floor.
Yeah.
That's got to be a sad place.
It is. You got to make your own fun. It's like, it is when you think about, now I take a step back and think about it. I mean, it's death. You're slaughtering 6,000 hogs every day. And they come by, they all weigh the same, 250 pounds. splice them open, start cut, and it goes this sort of chain gang, and you work your way around, and you do all this stuff that I still eat meat, which is crazy, but it's very hard work.
Yeah.
And if you're an animal lover, it's a little, but it's what you do. And so about the third year there, I started going to community college, but I'm like, I'm not going to, the idea of becoming a comedian in Hollywood or whatever is just too crazy. It's too crazy. And I went out that night. We had a disco open called Jailhouse, which is our first disco in Tumwa. And it was great until my parents went and did line dancing. But I walked out at 2 a.m. and Andy Kaufman was standing on the curb. I'm like, holy fuck. And I went up and talked to him a little bit. He'd come to Tumwa. We had the women's wrestling event at the Coliseum. We had a lot of wrestling. It was very big. And he'd come. He was staying in Fairfield at Maharishi International University, working on transcendental meditation. And he'd driven down the 20 miles, and he went to the wrestling event, paid the women to stay late and wrestle him, and then took everybody in the crowd to Happy Joe's Pizza in school buses. And I'm like, that's the guy. Everything about him is who I want to be. Plus, if he could get here from Hollywood, surely you could get there.
Yeah.
So it was inspirational.
I just heard someone saying that, because people always say, what are you doing here? And that it's an interesting statement. If you can get here, then I can get there.
Absolutely. And now, because when I first started, there were 3 television networks. And you had to do things a certain way, and you had to come here or New York, whatever. And now young people and creative people can do what, they can make movies on their phones, or they can do.
Yeah.
I mean,
the sky's the fucking limit.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. I really don't know why anyone would move to Hollywood anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't make sense. And it doesn't make sense to a point where I think Hollywood has to recognize that. And they have to make this a different city. They have to make this a different city, and make it more accessible, make it more. I mean, our homeless problem is heartbreaking. I only tether to political things when it in a human way. I don't really follow any of the fucking. I don't know. Like every now and then things will show up in my feed about like some name of. I don't even know the names of the politicians. Like the ones in San Francisco that had the gay husband who beat up his lover or what. I don't even know.
Oh,
but you see things online, and then you go, I don't need to know about that. I don't need to know about that.
No.
Or the I don't know who Dianne Feinstein is.
She's 100 years old. She won't retire. She said she's and nobody's like, we don't want her to. She's a Democrat, and she's lost. She's literally 90 years old.
She was born before they invented the Cobb salad. That's the thing.
But she did a lot of great things. I think she started as mayor of, and then 50 years ago she was doing. But now it's like they get that weird thing. It's like comedians don't want to retire.
That was a comedian's joke, by the way, that I told. I watched some guy's joke about. He goes, "Let me talk to you about the Cobb salad."
That's funny.
And then it was really fun. I wish I could credit that guy.
When was the Cobb salad invented?
1936.
Wow. Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
And so, whoever, can you see if you can find that guy so I can credit him?
Let's talk about the homeless thing. And you got
the
a
homeless
really
thing
good point.
Fucking really bums
you
me
care
out.
About an issue. It is a major issue.
That's the issue.
Yeah.
So when I see homeless young women, I see my daughters. Because I go, that life is one massive accident away from that happening to you.
Yes, it's very true.
Where you no longer can have parents that can help you with your maybe your medication or maybe life throws you a curveball that you were not ready for and you trust the wrong person and you end up in there. I see that.
Or you have a psychic break, or you have something, just a thing. When they first started talking about the homeless, like when I moved here in '88 or whatever, it was a thing. Oh, get them off the street, get them a job, get them. Let's get them cleaned up.
It's not that.
And it's really not that.
It's not that. And when the other thing and it's just so bad that it is, and I don't think, I mean, you can talk to different people, different sides of the fence will tell you, no, these people want to be homeless. Like they enjoy being homeless.
Some do.
Some do. Yeah. And
not all.
I can't imagine everyone likes being homeless.
Right.
I think everyone would love following their dream.
Yeah.
And maybe having a goal and achieving a goal and having a I think there's a lot of things people could enjoy. but I don't know how to fix it. And I don't know. I've said it on this podcast. I've said it to politicians that I've met at parties. Tell me how I can help.
Mhm.
Tell me how I can help. And no
Mhm.
one's got an answer. And then the answer they do give you is some fucking, seems like some self-interest group that goes, yeah. Give us like $100,000. And you're like, hold on. Like I have no problem just giving money to people, but I know that I am more valuable than the money. Like I can generate more money.
Right.
Than
Now,
I
you
can
could do a
just
show
give.
for the Midnight Mission. I don't know if you're familiar with the Midnight Mission downtown, but they do put on a comedy show and honor people here. That's a really great organization because it's right in the middle of what we used to call Skid Row.
Skid Row.
And they are dealing with, they do tough love. They do all this stuff. It's as good as you could get under these circumstances.
Yeah.
And I think that, you talking about one bad thing away. I worry that, anybody with kids or myself, like, what would it take for me to get there? And then I see some homeless people that have, they're couples. They have a wife or girlfriend. I'm like, I can't even get a wife, girlfriend when I lived in Beverly Hills. So whatever it is, but it's not, I think when it comes across by people, like, I'm sick of seeing those people. I want those people rounded up and, I think that you just got to California's warm. You don't see in Iowa because they would die all the time. There are homeless people, but, there's got to be, I think it's little solutions over at just this and this and this. And I think it's also, you could connect people that people are homeless. Their family has no idea where they are.
Yeah.
And that's, sometimes you need to connect people, or there's a lot of kids that ran away that living on Hollywood Boulevard. I did a movie called Gardens of the Night about what happened to them before they ended up homeless on Hollywood Boulevard.
Yeah.
And so, there's a lot of different ways to, it's a multi, Dr. Drew, I think it's a friend of yours too, says it's mental health and chemical dependency.
Yeah.
And but I don't think anybody's like, I'm living the dream.
No.
Here.
I think there's some, I followed these train jumpers on.
Oh, yeah.
I think some of them think they are.
Yeah, they are.
What do they call themselves? Not hobos.
Hobos, what they definitely used to call them.
But
they had the hobo convention, the National Hobo Convention was in Britt, Iowa every year.
Oh.
And somehow these guys made their way to Iowa and, where there's a lot of trade. And it was pretty crazy the way they, were this is how I like to, society is, and then they'd vie for awards because even hobos want to win awards. So
wait, what other political things do you get tethered to, like human interest things, like where you go, I like to spend my focus on there, it's funny, you can explain something to me and I make sense. Tiffany Haddish, Tiff.
Yes, I do.
So Tiff was a foster child.
Yeah.
And she explained, I loved this. This was she explained that, when you're a foster kid, you don't get like a suitcase and stuff to travel with. She traveled in plastic bags. Yeah. And it made her feel less than,
of course,
every time she had to throw her shit in a plastic bag. And it wasn't until she got a suitcase that she felt like she had a home, where she had a place where she could keep her stuff. And so then that's what she does. In the She Ready Foundation, she provides suitcases and all the stuff that would come in it, all the stuff that you'd need as a kid. And for her, I think, if I'm not mistaken, she was doing $1,000 donations one at a time. Yeah. And me and Joe Coy and Jimmy Kimmel just cleaned it up and just gave it all. Yeah. So it was explained so succinctly of going this is where this money goes. I love that kind of shit.
Well, it's great. It's a really interesting thing. It's very personal. Jimmy Kimmel, he came to the heart camp. One of our cardiologists saved his son's life. And he said, I'll come to your house and make grilled cheese for you. How much? And he ended up getting $240,000, which could pay for, each kid is $1,200 and he is the most generous. Since then, we're like, you got to come back. Hey, maybe we come. But, but you guys, that's a great thing to do. And, when I think about, I believe I'm a great parent. But when I see these people that adopt kids and people that adopt special needs kids, that's just, I can't even I can't explain how amazing that is, and how So it makes me want to be better, to do
Oh,
better.
I said I had like a little bit of an epiphany one night where I realized how many older parents have special needs kids
Hmm.
who they're worried, like the fear that who's going to take care of my kids when
Yeah,
I'm gone. And so I said to Leanne, I was like, we should start like a foundation or something to help raise money to ensure that those. She goes, that's already there. Let's adopt this is like me and my blind
of course. No, I
goodwill.
get
I
it.
go, let's adopt a special needs
Hmm.
adult
Hmm.
and tell his parents, we'll meet his parents and say,
Hmm.
listen, just trust that your kid will always be
Hmm.
taken care of.
Hmm.
He's my age.
Hmm.
We will always take care of him. He'll have a job with us.
Hmm.
We'll set up a foundation. Like
Hmm. He
he
could
will.
definitely work with comedy.
Yeah. And then Leanne goes, you're out of your fucking mind.
Yeah.
And I go, what? And she goes, no. What's he gonna do? And I said, I don't know. Fucking he'll come to the house and pick up dog shit and fucking rake leaves. I don't
Yeah.
know, but it doesn't matter. And then
Yeah.
she goes, yeah. Where are you gonna be? And I was like, I'll be on the road. And she goes,
She's right.
she goes, so it's me
Yeah.
and fucking
She's right.
the kid from Life Goes
Yeah,
On,
yeah. He
hanging out
needs to
all day
go with
long.
you.
Yeah.
Hey, that's the real.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
then,
I'll take him with me.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to leave him with my.
and then she
family.
goes, and then I go, this is the best part is I go, okay, fine, I'll take him on the road with me. And she goes, and what's he gonna do on the fucking road with you? I go, I'll have him get ice. She goes, that's your cousin's job.
Yeah.
And I was like, she's like, you already have a couple
He'll
special
make
needs
videos.
people.
We'll make
Yeah.
funny videos. Then I'll get in trouble for
Yeah.
making those funny videos.
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
do.
No, I understand the altruistic.
You've tried,
know.
like, even when you try to do your best.
Yeah.
Like I tried to give money to St. Jude so many times.
Yeah.
I have given money, but I try to give money based on like
We'll take money at the camp. I'm just going to tell you, at camp.
my time is even more
Your time
valuable.
will be
Let's-
way more.
well,
If we can honor you,
yeah, get me
that's a home run. No, I'm not even kidding.
You auction me off.
I will auction you
Auction
off.
me
I mean,
off.
you are, especially with a younger compared to me.
No,
But no, you're
auction me
great.
off.
You're great.
I have no problem.
I did. Have you ever done Big Brother program? Like there's a place called Hollygrove here in Hollywood that is the oldest. They used to call them orphanages. Marilyn Monroe was there when she was a kid. That's
We
how old
talked.
Yep.
We talked about orphanages on Two Bears.
Mhm.
God damn it, Holston! What was that? Do you remember that? Oh God,
What is it?
we talked about orphanages on two. We were saying, are there still orphans?
Yeah.
And are there still orphanages? And then they pulled up. There's one Los Angeles orphanage.
Yeah.
And we're like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, it's run by Master Bert. And we're like, huh? And it was totally made up. We
Oh,
tried.
that's really funny.
But randomly we
Yeah.
talked. But yeah, keep going. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
but no, I was working with them and helping with them. They asked me to do, I forget what, to be honored that I got involved with them, or whatever it is. And it's just a great program. And they had a lot of young people volunteering there were, but I signed up to be a big brother, and I got this kid, Abraham, and very, very cool black kid. And it was really good for me. I loved, and I could tell he's been through some abuse, man,
Yeah.
which I can absolutely relate to as a kid, but took him around, we had a thing where, if you ever feel uncomfortable, I don't care where we are, I'll take you back. He was sort of in a group home with like 20 other boys. And so we had a good thing going. And then he came over the house. Everybody gets cleared for that. And then he found out that Shaq lived across the street from me. And up to that point, I was the coolest dude in this kid's world. Like I took him out, we got fed, and he was just staring at me. And so I'm like, oh, you want to meet Shaq? And then Shaq was great to him. Shaq was giving out $50 bills to all the kids. Like, man, he was great. And then I kind of I was jealous. I'm going to admit. Like from then on, he's like, where's Shaq? Like he didn't give a shit about me. But that kid grew up. You could tell. We'd walk into a Nike town, and I'd walk in first, and then he'd walk in, and they'd look at him, all the salespeople, and I go, no, he's with me. Like
Really?
He's a criminal. He was like 12, 11. He's a black kid. They're like, and the whatever stores we went to, I just watching the way that people treated him
versus you.
Versus me, and having to go, and so he's had that and will have that. So that was very enlightening. Now the guy, he's grown up and And Bit, he's a counselor. He counsels young. Like it's the best case
Oh, wow.
scenario, But it opens your eyes to a lot of things.
I'd
that
love to be
maybe-
a big brother, but I'm having a hard time being a regular father.
Yeah, but you have 2 daughters,
I
right?
have 2 daughters. Yeah, I gotta wait till my kids are out of the house before I start bringing dudes in.
Yeah. No, but that's good. But your
this
daughters
is
have different.
Raekwon.
But I'm sure, I assume they have different personalities.
Yeah, very.
One of them is, and my thing with I wanted my son to be sensitive and my daughter to be a little tough. I wanted, instead of going the standard, and I think that's kind of how it's turned out.
Oh, I wish I mean, my daughters could not be more different, but more alike. But they're very similar. They're both their moms. They're both Leanne's daughters. You could tell.
Yeah.
But I don't. I feel like I did nothing in raising these children. Like, I'm being serious. Like I was on the road a lot. But this shit you do.
You gave them unconditional love, and here's what's great: you had a partner who said, "That's fine.
Yeah,
I got your back." They know, and she just, whatever your kids, I'm just guessing, would say they miss you. She'd explain why.
Oh,
and then I'm sure that you seem like the kind of guy that when you got back, you're all in.
I was pretty present. That was the thing. Is like the 2-3 days that I'd be home, or week I'd be home. I was very present. It's funny. We did this huge summer festival tour. Both girls worked for us. Leanne worked for us. I mean, Leanne runs the festival pretty much. But both girls were PAs. They're both PAs right now outside. And
that's a good way to learn everything.
And Georgia comes down one morning, and she sits next to me in catering. And this is a big festival. To put in perspective, we have 7 tour buses, we have 4 semis, we have 10 talent on every date.
Wow.
We have. I mean, it's just really. It's
big.
arenas and amphitheaters and stadiums and catering every morning. Catering, lunch, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And like 2 weeks into it, Georgia comes.
Did you ever think you'd be part of something like that when you started off?
Absolutely
you're like,
not.
I'm going to be part of this massive machine.
I had an epiphany. We closed out at the Gorge this year, which I think was like 15,000, and I'm sitting there looking at this, probably the most beautiful outdoor venue in the world, in my opinion. I'd like to see some other ones, but it's the best one I've ever performed at. And someone came up to me, I think it was Big J Okerson, and he was like, man, this is really impressive that you created this. And then I was sitting there going, oh my God, this was like just a stupid idea I had. Where I was like, what if because I did tour during the pandemic in drive-in movie theaters. And I was like, oh, I should do this with friends. That would be cool doing like outdoor venues with friends and like pack it with great lineups and like have fun during the day. And then I was like, I had this like washed over me. I started crying. I was like, oh, this is fucking insane. You know what's even crazier? And I think you'll identify with this. We were in New York. We opened at the U.S. Open at Forest Hills, where they used to do the U.S. Open.
Yeah.
And we opened in that stadium.
Oh, wow. That's a great
fucking
place.
Beautiful. And someone said to me, you should be really proud of yourself. You put all this together. This is a big undertaking. And can you believe that you're this guy that would put this together? Like, isn't that crazy? It's like, did you ever think you were the guy that would put this together? And I said, yeah, because I knew that if I didn't, I wouldn't be invited.
Yeah.
Like, I was never the cool comic.
You can tell that Rolling Stone piece from way back. You're like, oh no, this guy, he's gonna go full head into whatever. There's nothing he's afraid of.
But I was saying, Georgia one morning comes down. It's probably maybe I'm guessing like 3 weeks into the tour, and Georgia comes down, sits next to me at breakfast, and she's the one that broke down Mitch Hedberg. Just everything she does is a little analytical. And she goes, "This is so fucking cool." I go, "What do you mean?" She goes, "Like, you're having breakfast with the funniest comics in the world. Mom, me, and Isla. All our friends are here." She goes, "Everyone loves you. Like, everyone, this is a big group of everyone." She goes, "No wonder you never came home." She goes, "This is awesome."
Yeah.
She goes, "You guys stay out until late. You drink and you laugh. You sleep on tour buses. You wake up. You have breakfast ready for you. You do a show to 12,000 people who love you. Everyone cheers for." She goes, "No, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't." She goes, "This isn't fair. Like, other people should get this." And I was like, "No shit." I was like,
but it's also because of the way that she's like, I'm here, my sister, mom, and those
Oh yeah.
amazing people. That's the whole run. That's the full, because not everybody can hold on to that. They get out there on the road, and they can't hold on to that family, or something goes sideways, or they abuse themselves. But to have it all,
Yeah.
I mean, literally have it all, and have your kids appreciate it. Your wife working with you. I mean, you're living the dream, man.
I'm definitely living the dream. My only thing I need to take care of is my health.
Yeah.
Like financially and professionally, I'm so happy. Like I never thought I'd be here. Adversely, I never thought I'd be this fat. Like,
do you worry that people love you fat? People love you with your shirt up. You're that guy. Do you feel like I got to give them that guy?
No.
Okay, good.
I feel like I look at pictures of me. I was talking to Rogan about it, and I said something like, I forget what I said. And he goes, just giving you a heads up, man. If someone was saying that, someone was saying, Bert, but if you lose the weight, your fans won't like you. And I was like, I don't think that. And then Joe goes, if Bert loses 20 pounds, he's still fat as fuck.
Yeah, that's right. And I was watching your thing, your special with your story about Russia, and just looking at your body, like his fat is hard.
It's rock
because
hard.
we know people that weigh less than us and are just disgusting.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is hard. Like that's where it seems like he's worked on his fat.
I got hard fat. I got hard fat.
That's what
I'm
you
on
want.
testosterone. I've lifted weights. I'm in pretty good shape, but like fat wise, like my belly, like just getting up off the couch is a little frustrating. And I go I never thought I'd be where I am professionally, but I never thought physically I'd be here. And my dudes I grew up with are like, you're an athlete. Like, I don't know what is going on with your body.
For sure.
Like I went to my, I've told this a million times, and I'll tell it a million more. I went to my high school when I went to play Tampa, and they wanted me to come by and say hi to the kids. And all the kids were like, hey, can you take batting practice with us? And I was like, yeah. And I hit a home run.
Oh my God.
And all these kids are like, this fat fuck just hit a home run in they lost their shit. They're like, the look on these kids' faces when I hit a home run, so they're watching me, and then they go like this, and then they look back at me like, and then I run the bases, and I get winded running the bases. I am a full Babe Ruth.
Well, it seems like my son, when he would hit a home run, he'd be mad he had to run the bases. He's like, that doesn't make any sense. Well, David Wells, Boomer?
I know David Wells. I know David Wells.
I was at his wedding. Very
I know
close.
David Wells' son.
Yeah.
I know David Wells. I know David Wells very well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's a huge fan of comedy.
David
Wells is one of those guys that will go to a Cheap Trick concert and sit in the front row. Like, even though he's done amazing stuff in his career, I mean, like, it's incredible. But he had a back surgery, and I had to get him in the shower. And his body is not unlike his top of the line body.
Yeah.
When he was throwing a perfect game, he's just, but he's obviously very skilled.
Yeah.
And some of those guys, they just look bad in clothes.
Oh, yeah. There's I was watching Kruk. I was watching John
Kruk
Kruk.
is a bad other example.
But it's funny especially like when he was playing with Dalton and
those guys.
Lenny and all those guys, and they were calling him fat. He wasn't even really that fat.
No.
But then as he gained weight, But
he had a hard scare too, and so
really?
he was like, well, we were working together. I came into work one day, and he wasn't there. And I go, where's Kruk? And they knew we were very close. So they didn't tell me till after the show that he had a scare and he was at the hospital.
Oh, wow.
Because that would have been, I could have,
Do you know who I just saw hit a golf ball? Do you remember, oh, shit. Who played for the White Sox? Fucking big.
Frank, not Frank Thomas.
No. Earlier than that.
He does the boner pills.
Put in, it's an Asian, it's a pretty politically incorrect commercial. It's not Carl Yastrzemski. Fucking.
What position did he play?
Had to play third. I mean, he's had to play third base or first base.
Ron Kittle? No.
No.
Are you talking about the shorts of White Sox?
Type in beer commercial, White Sox.
Yeah.
China.
Oh, that's a yeah.
White Sox. That's White 6. I'm carrying. If you type in White 6, you're gonna get a lot of stuff about coronavirus.
Yeah. Oh my God. Well, yeah, I do like that you're.
Who? No.
I like that you're. I don't like that you're concerned about how old you're going to be when you die.
I think about that all the time.
I know you do. How old are you?
50.
Okay, that it doesn't get better. One day, but to focus on it, it doesn't seem like. But you're as long as you do stuff like go to the doctor, and you also have the perfect life. You're like, oh shit, I could die tomorrow. Finally got the perfect life, and I'm
Yeah.
dead. But you'll be dead. You won't even notice. People are like, what about are you building your legacy? I'll be dead.
Greg Luzinski.
Greg, yeah, he was big. Yeah.
Did he play with Greg Luzinski? His golf swing was beautiful.
Yeah.
And he was a big fucking dude.
Yeah.
I thought Greg Luzinski played. It says he played for the Phillies. I thought he finished at the White Sox.
Maybe he did finish the White Sox, but he definitely played for the Phillies. And he was big.
The Bull.
Big dude. Like Boog Powell. Big, big dude.
I think about that all the time. I think about it.
Who do you talk to about that?
About death?
Yep.
Don't talk to my. I'm talking to my therapist about so much other shit.
Yeah.
I don't talk to anyone. I talk to people on podcasts.
Yeah.
Like Louis C.K., Rogan, you.
Yeah.
I talk to everyone about death.
Well, it's interesting because then they'll go, "Oh, should I do that too?" I thought I would because I'm such an old dad. Am I the only one that goes and starts adding stuff up or doing this or doing that? And if 50 is reasonably young, it's you're halfway there maybe. And so it's good to hear that you. I hope you don't obsess on it. I mean, you're doing stuff about it though. If you obsess, where like I'm not obsessed to get in shape, you don't have to be Joe Rogan shape. But you're like, I just want to be healthy.
I just want to be, I just want to be healthy. I don't want to I watch my dad. My dad was overweight roughly at the same time of his life that I was overweight, but my dad was even in better health younger, up through his 30s. I would argue he ran marathons, but he stayed overweight up until 60s, and now you can see he has a hard time with his hip, his knees bad, it's just stressed his body.
Yeah,
and he's not as active as he wants to be.
Right,
and it's funny to watch that because you go, well, shit. Right now, my big thing is weightlifting. Because I feel
it's very good for you weightlifting.
I feel like it's the best way to be able to get out of chairs
Keep
and
the
stuff.
fat hard, man. My dad worked for 45 years at a factory, and the next day after he retired, he got a job at the hospital for $10 an hour delivering body parts or whatever because his buddies worked at the hospital.
Yeah,
but he wouldn't go to the doctor, and I knew he had some issues, and I called him on a Wednesday, and he was having trouble breathing. I said, yeah, you need to go to Des Moines right now. I'm going to send an ambulance to go up to the real hospital. He's like, oh, Tommy, the mobile oncology unit's going to be in Ottumwa in 3 months. So I'm going to wait for that. I could tell,
Jesus
it
Christ.
hit me. And so got him up there. I flew in Thursday morning. The doctor's like, oh my God, he has cancer. How is he even walking around? So he had 4 days to live. And I remember that a lot. I mean, I think he thought, I'm just going to be walking out the door one day and then I'm going to die. And a lot of people where I'm from, a lot of farmers do that. They're just like, I don't want to face this thing. I was old, I'd had a dad for 57 years. Yeah. My kids, and both our kids, they're young.
Yeah.
So you do think about that, but he went, so I got to the hospital and my dad had to use the bathroom and my 4 younger brothers scattered because they're huge pussies. And I really was thinking, I'm a dad. He was my dad. He did everything for me. When I was born, he was 18. He changed. So I pick him up, I carry him. By then he was so frail. Put him on the toilet. He does his business. I get the toilet paper and I'm like, I'm going to do this. And I wiped his ass. I went for the front way, just taking a gas, and our eyeballs are that far apart. And I said, that's the intimate moment I needed for my dad, because in that look, he knew I love him. He was a great father, and I'll do anything for him. The circle of life, whatever. And I pick him up and put him back in the room. And about 3 hours later, my stepmother gets up there, and he's got to go potty again. So I pick him up, I take him in there, put him on the toilet. He's doing his business. I'm getting the toilet paper ready to go. And she's like, Tommy, what are you doing? I go, well, I'm going to wipe Dad's butt. She's like, why? He still wipes his own butt. I go, does he? I thought it was so funny. But that moment, I'm telling you, because you think, how many butts has he wiped? And I recommend to parents, men, women, wipe all of them. Change every diaper. Take every relationship, because and people tell men this, oh, they don't realize it when they're older. It'll be, no, it's money in the bank. The more you
It's money
spend
in
with
the
these
bank.
kids, it is. It's money for them. It's like $100 in your pocket that you're walking around. It's not $1 billion of self-esteem, but they know, okay, it could get them home. If they're at a bar, they have no way home, they get an Uber. That $100, that confidence, knowing. And the mom has had a 9-month head start sharing a central nervous system. So you get in there and you do all the stuff, and you could tell. I'll say, do you remember when this happened? They go, no. Okay. And that could be like yesterday. Yeah. But I just think that you just got to do everything.
I'm
you seem like an amazing father, Bert. No. I'm telling you, you are, and you've got, kind of a. You need to not be humble about that. Not say I'm the best guy, I know everything. You don't know everything, but you're always willing to learn shit. Like I am learning, listening to some of your stuff, and man, I just want to be better. I make a million mistakes.
Oh yeah.
But yet,
I make a ton of mistakes.
Yeah.
I make a ton of mistakes, and I made a ton of mistakes parenting, especially my oldest. And for whatever fucking reason, the second she went to college, she fucking, like, all the shit that was, keeping her, like, making her nervous or whatever, it all settled.
Yeah.
And she came back this far after her freshman year, and I was like, I've said it to her 3 or 4 times. I'm really good at self-correcting. But Georgia's like a different kid. You'll meet her on when you leave. Georgia's like, she got a tattoo and she got a nose ring, and I got so upset with her. And now I don't even notice that shit. And I go, wow, why did I even get upset?
That's weird. You'd be upset that
I know,
the guy that doesn't wear a shirt in public, right? Yeah. I got this on I turned 6 years sober last week, and I got my kids. I don't know if you Google worst tattoo ever, Tom Arnold right now. And it's a tattoo of Roseanne's face. I got right before we got divorced. It was like a Hail Mary on Valentine's Day, right before we got divorced. It took 7 hours from my collarbone to my nipple. And it was, hey, there you go, right there.
Oh
See that fucking stupid thing.
God.
And I just, what a dumbass I am. And then she's like, I thought she's going to walk in the house. We've been not getting along. She's going to walk in the house. I'm going to go, honey, I just want to say I love you, and show her that. And then I assume she'd go, oh my God, I'm sorry we've been fighting. I love you so much. Well, what she really did was, I go, honey, I just want to show you I love you. She goes, oh my God, you're an asshole. Just kept walking. And then I thought, oh shit, I am the worst asshole. I'm an asshole with a giant fucking Roseanne tattoo on my chest.
Do you still have it?
Oh no, it took a year and a half to get removed. It is worth it. It hurt like hell. Do I have it? I have my Star of David, obviously, but it was, I was like, and then I immediately started getting it lasered off, which you could do.
Yeah.
But it takes a while. But they did a good job. There's no scar or anything.
No, you can't see it at all.
No. But I have a scar where she stabbed me. Accidentally, pretty much. But those are the good things, And but yeah, I finally did this thing here. And what's your daughter's tattoo? Dad?
A black hole sun.
Oh yeah,
in her sternum. It's like a pretty aggressive place
ouch,
to get
that
it.
hurts. That hurts.
Yeah, and then now Isla wants one. They all want them. All the kids want them, and they're like, you should get one. And I was like, I don't want one. Like I can't think of anything I'd want. They're like, get our names. And I was like, no.
Well, it'll be funny. I'll tell you what, if you do it, I'll go with you and we'll film it. And the kids will be all there, and because it hurts a little bit,
really,
especially if they design it. I mean, it'd be hilarious to do your dad do something.
I can't get it on my chest or anywhere because I perform shirtless and it's distracting.
Yeah,
can't get it anywhere on my top.
Yeah,
so it'd have to be on like a butt cheek or a leg.
Yeah, you could do that. I had my first tattoo was mid '80s of Rosie, and she got a tattoo that said "Property of Tom Arnold" on her butt, which may be the 4th largest property owner in California for a while. But she had hers covered up, but I also got that thing. But you got a million excuses why not. You get it on there, down here on your leg, and just the fact your kid asked for it. Come on, man.
Yeah. Oh,
you got to get in there.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I've had boundaries. Isla almost killed me on a jet ski one time, and it was like, I mean, she thought it was fucking hilarious, but I was like, she just really irresponsible. I was like, I'm not going to drive with you. You drive too fast. You don't know what you're doing. And she's like, oh, you're overreacting. And then we got on the jet ski. And she's like, hold on tight, big boy. And then
Oh my God.
fucking
Yeah.
and then cut it.
Yeah.
And but we were going too fast to get traction, so the jet ski just started sliding.
Oh Jesus.
Caught. I went flying.
Yeah.
Jet ski hits me in the side.
Okay.
And it knocks the wind out of me. And then when we get back, I go, we're going in immediately. And she's like, why are you overreacting? I go, I'm not overreacting.
Yeah, you're
And
right.
she's like, and then she says to Leanne, Dad's about to tell you one of his dad stories. And I was like, motherfucker.
Oh my God.
So then the next year, she's like, hey, let's go on the jet ski. I was like, I told you I'm never taking you on the jet ski. And she's like, you didn't really mean that, did you? And I was like, yeah, you almost killed me. And then she does this thing where she gives me these eyes and she's like, but Dad, it's my favorite thing with you. Please. And then once we get on again, she's like, all right, hold on, big boy. And I'm like, she just likes to watch me lose my shit.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. And so.
Yeah. She has a black hole sun.
No, Georgia has it right here on her chest.
And that's Chris Cornell saying that.
Yeah.
I remember when I said the last time I was in rehab for the benzos. Chris, amazing guy, hilarious guy, by the way.
Yeah.
A guy from my original group of guys, very sweet, obviously talented. When I was thinking about not staying there, I was thinking about, well, this will be easy. I'll get to, I don't have to do a bunch of work on this. And we weren't supposed to read the paper, but it came through. I saw a thing on the internet that he died. He committed suicide. And so I called his wife and I said, whoa, my God, what's happening? And she said it was benzos. He was taking too many and he had a strap, to workout strap on his doorknob, and he was touring. And it was to do stretches, and he had a great body, by the way.
Yeah.
And they'd gotten to an argument, and he hung himself and here's the thing, I knew right then. Oh, every time he walks by that strap of the bathroom door, wherever he is, in his mind, he's like, yeah, I can hang myself with that. And it starts playing that video, and so he had this bad night, and he was all messed up on benzos. He felt bad. He thought he was losing his sobriety. He thought whatever. And he just played out that movie and hung himself. I'm like, I need to work. I need to continue to work on this.
Yeah.
And so, he was a very, very sweet guy. And it just like that, and I'm sure that when you're on the road, I'm equating you to people like me, but when, you have a lot of people with you. You have somebody.
I have a lot of people with me.
Yeah. I mean, the people that go out there by themselves, I mean, I think about that now. I'm on the road doing a show in San Jose. And I think, well, if I die here, I'm the only person here in this, but because of our life.
Yeah.
That it's what, and I thought, well, what do I want? Do I want to die in front of everybody? I don't want that too. So, you just keep living.
I walked by the room Geraldo died in.
Oh God.
I was at Stress Factory. And I think maybe Vinny or the person at the front desk told me, this is where Geraldo died. And I went, what? And they're like, yeah, room ... I forget the room number now. And I went, wow. And so I just went up to the floor, and it was really eerie because it sounds sane, but it's a walk all comics have taken a million times.
I've been in the
at
hotel.
the end of the night where you get up to the floor and you walk to your room, and you think this was his last walk to the room. And then you get outside there and you're like, and then I thought, this is how a lot of us die. Is just in a hotel room, just at a fucking microtel in Des Moines, Iowa.
Well, we were talking about roasting that fucking dude.
He was.
Every roasted me, but he was so great. I loved him.
He was amazing.
But it's another thing too. When you think about this with your kids, when I was young, it wasn't you get all fucked up or you did this and die of heroin or cocaine or drunk driving or whatever. But this stuff with the opioids and one pill. I'm not saying he did one pill. He did a lot of pills. I also did a lot of pills.
Yeah.
I'm very lucky. But the shit that it's just, you could look right, you could be trim, you could do whatever, but you just have that thing. And a lot of times it's the opioid and the benzo.
Yeah.
The Xanax and the pain medication. And very sad.
I keep telling my daughters it's like yesterday, it was Isla's birthday. So Georgia, my oldest, took her and all her friends out to the beach, and they all stayed at the beach for the night. And then Georgia came home, left them all, Isla and her friends there. My sister went out, and then Leanne just picked them all up. And I kept going, I kept texting, make smart decisions, Like, don't, because I fucked up so much, so many times where I just made bad decisions and I got lucky.
Yeah.
And some kids make bad decisions and don't get lucky.
Yeah.
Some kids Like so many kids make just a dumb decision, and once that pill goes in your mouth, you can't get it out.
Yeah.
It's all of a sudden it's over. And I've taken pills
Yeah.
where I go, I don't even really know what this is.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
You're telling me it's this. I'll trust you.
Yeah.
And we're in a hotel room in Panama City.
Yeah.
And you're telling me this is ecstasy.
Yeah.
I guess it is. And then, but like I fucking get worried for my kids so much.
You grow it up, man. They do make bad decisions. You know, you go, their brains aren't formed, and I see that with my son especially. Like, I'll say, "Hey, the stove is hot," and he'll put his hand right on that. Now he knows. I'll say, "Don't plug that thing in like that. Your head, you'll get shocked." And then it gets, and you hope that when shit happens to him, it's not life or death. It's something that he remembers. The other night he said, "Do you have a box cutter?" I go, "Why do you need a box cutter?" "Well, I want to cut this thing up." And I'm like, "Okay, but it's very sharp." And he went out, and all of a sudden he came back in and went in the bedroom, and I was doing stuff. And I went in there, and I laid on the bed. And I said, "What's going on, son?" He just started crying. He was like, I fell, and I scraped my knee, and I think it went to the bone. I have to have stitches. And I look at it, it's a razor cut straight up. And I go, "No, you don't have to get that. I'm going to take care of you and bandage you up and everything." And then he told his sister, which I do at the time. I just didn't think it was,
cutter.
you know, but you hope these little lessons. Because I remember, my dad said, "Stay away from my skill saw." And the minute he left the house, me and my brothers would go turn it on. And I took a board. The first time I had it on, I cut the end of this finger off.
God damn it.
I was so afraid of my dad being upset that my bone was sticking out. I covered it up. And so at dinner, we're sitting there at dinner. He goes, "Tommy, let me see your hand." And he goes, "The other hand." I had it wrapped up with blood. And he goes, "Were you into my fucking paint?" I go, and then I did the Hail Mary. I go, "No, I cut my finger off on the thing." Yeah. He's like, "Why didn't you tell me? Let's go to the hospital."
My dad, I remember I was cutting an orange one time and I had the orange in my hand, and I had the knife like this. And my dad goes, "Hey, that's not how you cut an orange."
Yeah.
And I said, "I'm fine." And he goes, "Okay." And I just cut my hand open, and I go, "Why did you let me do that?" And he goes, "I told you not to, but you wanted to." And I was like, well, so many of those things as a kid where my dad would be like, "I told you," man, fire was the big thing when we were kids.
Oh, for sure.
Playing with fire.
Yeah. That I don't think it ever goes away. But the cutting thing, Steve Howie, I don't know if you know, he was in Shameless and the True Lies TV, so very nice guy. And we were, I do this little podcast called Divorce Party, and he was on, and I said about my son cutting himself and how I did. And he goes, no, his dad was a fisherman. It's something about a rite of passage with boys. And his dad said, "These are fillet knives. These are the sharpest knives in the world to cut fish." And he said he took the knife and opened his hand to see how sharp it was and just cut all the way deep down.
My God.
You do that thing. You do that thing, and you hope that with your girls that they have an experience that's not, that they learn something from without you taking all the good stuff, and they go, I'm not going to do that anymore.
Oh, we were at an Italian restaurant the other night, and they put down the plate, and they go, "This plate is very hot." And me and my daughter Isla both touched it.
Yeah.
Both were like, "Ow, fuck, that burned me."
Yeah.
And the lady's like, "We just said that was hot." And Georgia and Leanne are just looking at us like, "The fuck's wrong with you two?"
That's funny.
So wait, real quick before we get you out of here, tell me about your podcast.
Well, there's a woman named Monica Casey who, great. I met her in the parking lot at school. Again, I haven't had a date in 6 years. You kind of scour it over and say, "Hey, where's the, what do we have in common?" There's got to be a woman with kids the same age, so they can do a play date. In my mind, we run into the closet and do the thing. But I saw she was a great mom, and I loved her with her kids. She was divorcing a guy from CSI, so it was a public thing too, like mine. And so we ended up having lunch. That's been only, and we started talking about stuff. And then, a few months ago, she said, "Let's do a podcast," because she had a divorce party. She got divorced from this guy, and this is something. And then was going through it. It was terrible. And then all her friends had a party for her where she got, they say karaoke. It's not exactly, she got drunk, she vomited, then she made out with a stranger. And then that was it. It's like a bar mitzvah in my thing.
Like divorce
where
parties.
you hit it. Yeah, marriage, everybody's always at big weddings, whatever, divorce party, and now you can move on. And that's probably
Yeah.
something I've never done. Maybe it would have been helpful. But we talk and we bring people on. We have I think Margaret Cho's on this week.
Oh, for real?
We have a good variety of folks.
Yeah.
So if you get divorced, let me know. We'll have you on.
I would love that.
It's
I would
not
love
worth
that.
it. It's not, yeah.
I would love that.
Yeah.
No, but I'm trying to think. I got a bunch of divorced friends.
Yeah, please
Yeah.
do, because comedians are the best.
Oh, comedians.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I wonder if I know any good divorced talent.
Yeah. We've had, high conflict divorce therapists. We've had a divorce attorney, to pick their brains. But comedians are, because they'll share their shit. They're like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, because it's humbling. And a lot of people don't want to talk about it. And when you're going through a divorce, especially a high conflict divorce, nobody wants to hear about it. There's kids involved there.
Yeah.
Even your old buddies are like, yeah, that's too, so you kind of are on an island by yourself. So it's good to hear other people share what the heck their deal is.
I remember the first couple of our friends that got divorced. I remember being like, wait, they didn't even talk to me about it. And Leanne's like, you have nothing to do. I go, yeah, but no, but this, like, I didn't know we could get divorced. So
Yeah.
I thought all of us were in this forever.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, they weren't. And I was like, fuck.
How did it affect your relationship, you and your wife, with them?
We
Because a
don't
lot of
talk,
people,
we did stop talking to both of them.
yeah,
But I think we'd probably stopped talking to them before.
yeah,
A little
okay,
bit.
that's helpful.
Yeah. And then it was like, it was funny to watch the two of them live their lives differently. Like
Yeah.
live their lives very differently. Like one of them decided that they were going to capture themselves and reclaim themselves. And the other one was like, I'm just happy to be out of it.
Yeah.
So, I
The
think
first one was the woman, and the second one was the dude. But let me tell you something. Sometimes people are afraid.
Yeah.
When the first couple gets divorced, sometimes they're like, "Oh shit, that's shit's contagious."
Yeah.
They got the stink of divorce. Let's stay away from. I don't want to catch what they got, or I might like what they
yeah.
got. But it's a, yeah. I mean, it's a heck of a thing.
It's crazy.
And I never do this. And friends like, fucking I'm getting a divorce from that bitch. I fucking hate her. She says, I never go, you know what? I'm glad because she's a bit, never, because they will get back together.
Yeah.
And then you'll be the odd man out. You're like, well, what can I do? No, that seems like, let's slow down.
We met, I had an interaction with a gentleman one time who we had known him and his, I don't even think they were married. I think they were common law, right? They
Right.
had kids. He had blown up. His business had really blown up. And I kind of referenced him a little bit in my special, but he left her. And I thought she was attractive. I never really got that because I was like that, like, she's not even ugly. Like, she's still kind of hot. Like, what do you do? You have kids together. Like,
Yeah.
what else do you need?
Yeah.
And I said something to him, and he said to me, man, you don't even know what the marketplace is, do you? And I was like, what do you mean? And he goes, do you know how hot of pussy you could get?
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, you're famous and you're rich
Mm-hmm.
and you're a good guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, dude, you shouldn't stick your head into the marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said, don't ever look at your DMs on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And so one day,
Mm-hmm.
this is well after that, or a little bit after that,
Mm-hmm.
I'm announcing the Tops Off World Tour.
Mm-hmm.
I'm having lunch with my wife and my
Mhm.
manager, my agent. And my manager says, a woman says, you should tell women to join in. Send pics of them in their fancy bras. Because like all women have a nice bra.
Mhm.
Send pictures, and then you'll repost them. And I bet it'll draw traction to the Tops Off World Tour.
Mhm.
All these great bra pictures.
Mhm.
So I said, cool. I said, Leanne, is that cool? And she said, yeah. So I did a video. I said, hey guys, send me like tasteful pictures of you in your bras and like your nice
Yeah.
bras so that I can repost. Now, I had never been in my DMs ever in that moment, like general DMs.
Right.
Like,
Oh, I do.
so I go into my general DMs, and the first picture is one of the hottest women
Mhm.
I've ever seen in a macrame bra. Like, the kind of,
Yeah.
like the things that
Yeah.
you'd hold plants up in.
Yeah.
A macrame bra, perfect boobs, and says, I want to have sex with you and your wife.
Mhm.
And I'm like, okay.
Mhm.
And then the next one was another, just beautiful. I'm the biggest fan.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden, I'm in bed, and for the first time, I'm getting excited going into
Of
my
course.
DMs going, I'm going to get
Yeah.
pictures of chicks with
Yeah.
tits. And I went, that's what he meant. Don't ever
Yeah.
dip your toe into the marketplace.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
it's scary. You just have to, if you do that, and you start thinking, let me know. I'll come over and punch you in the face because they're crazy.
Yeah,
They are insane.
yeah.
They are insane. And what is great you and your wife have done is not brought any other bullshit into your, because life's hard enough. It's funny. You can talk about it. She's
Yeah.
like, oh, but I remember at the end of Roseanne and she went on vacation with my 22-year-old assistant and her 22-year-old assistant, and they sent me a bunch of naked pictures of the three. And the assistants were just smoking hot, completely naked. They're keep sending all three of them. And I'm like, okay, I'm not sure what this seems like a trap.
Yeah.
But this is gonna go bad. I mean, I saved the pictures, but I can you can Photoshop your ex-wife out of pictures. They have a whole service that does that in case you're with the president or they're with naked young women.
In case they're with the president.
But I remember just thinking, okay, this is, and you always think too, what kind of people are reaching out on the internet? I mean, people do that, young people, and I'm sure they mean it. But here's the thing, Bert, you can fuck a million women, you know that, so you don't have to do it. Yeah.
But I'm also so bad at sex that I would.
Well, yeah, I am too. Yeah,
I would never want someone to see that.
No, I wouldn't want someone to see it.
It's like singing karaoke.
Mm-hmm.
I only do it around people that I know aren't going to make fun of me.
Well, no, you want someone that likes you.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And other guys like your buddy have opinion of what hot women are, and you have your wife is hot as she likes you.
Yeah.
And there's no. Yeah, it'd be pathetic if you go, I'm thinking about this guy, but you did put your head on it, which is smart. And you had that contest. And you started thinking about it.
I'm pretty quick to go like, whoa, fuck, that's not, there's one way this goes and it's not going well.
We also think about what kind of super hot woman would want to be with you if you were just Bert. No, same with me.
No, yeah.
Super hot, young, whatever. You're like, what if the real me, be from Iowa or Florida.
Oh, yeah. If I was just selling boats, what super hot woman would want to be with me?
Yeah.
A broken one.
Yeah.
Tom, I appreciate you doing this
buddy,
podcast.
Yeah,
you saved my marriage.
Thank you, buddy. Yo, I love your marriage. I love it.
I appreciate you doing this, man.
Yeah, thank you. Congratulations.
You've always been the kindest, coolest dude.
Thank you,
and I'm a fan, and I'd love to have you back and do it again. I could talk to you for hours.
I wait all my luck to you and your family. You got a great thing going. I'm proud to know you.
Thank you. I'll go introduce you to my daughter.
Okay, that's